on Teeters, Holman versus Slatter. Step forward, please.
25-year-old Cammie Holman says 24-year-old vacuum salesman Jeffrey Slater swept her off her feet, conning her and her mother, Lois Teeters, out of thousands of dollars. Jeffrey says after he and Cammie split up, she began harassing him for money.
Order, all rise. This is number 252 on the calendar in the matter of Teeters, Holman versus Slatter. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Who's Mrs. Teeters? Is that you? Miss Holman?
Ma'am.
Mother and daughter? Former live-in boyfriend?
Correct.
I have two complaints here, and according to both complaints, at some point you met him and he moved into your house. Your house. And did you move in there with your child, sir?
Yes.
You have a daughter?
Yes.
How old is she?
3.
You have custody of her?
Not full custody, no.
Were you living with her full-time when you moved into their house?
With my daughter, partial time, half and half.
Okay. And according to the complaint, during the time that he lived there, each of you were foolish enough to let him use a credit card, and he ran up substantial bills on those credit cards, and then took off. Why don't you start? First, what prompted you to let him move into the house?
Well, I was going to rent a room to somebody anyway to help me make ends meet, and they were getting together, and he was interested in moving out from his mother's place. She was driving him nuts or something, so he needed a place to live. So it worked out. It seemed fine for both of us.
But according to these papers, he moved into your daughter's room.
Yes, they were a couple by then.
So that didn't help to pay your bills if...
Well, he was going to pay rent. Yes, he was paying rent.
He was paying rent?
Yes, he paid the rent.
How much rent did he pay?
$400 a month.
Okay, now would you mind telling me why you gave him a credit card?
It started out just, you know, he wanted to make some purchases, and he only got paid every 2 weeks, and he was gaining weight, needed clothes and what have you, and he would give me a post-dated check. And I let him do that, and he did. The first couple of purchases, he gave me a check, and I held it, and then, you know, when he got paid and it was good, I mailed it in to the credit card company.
Did you give him his own credit card, or did you just let him use yours?
No, he had authorization. Cammie has copies of my cards. We have, you know, 2 cards on the account, so if she was with him and they were shopping, they would get something and put it on my card. And he gave me a check and paid me back. So the first 2 or 3 times, you know, that was swell, it worked. And he wanted to make some larger purchases, and the arrangement...
Like what?
Oh, well, he was trying to build his car to race, so he wanted like a transmission, and he had this good deal and a converter and different things that he was buying. And the arrangement was that he would make the payments to the credit card company, and that worked for me because then I didn't have to come up with the minimum. My minimum would be met. And he would get behind, like it would be 2 or 3 months. I'd get phone calls from the creditors, and they'd say, "You're behind," and I would check with him, and he'd say, "Oh, I mailed it, I'll call them and straighten it out." So he did make some small payments on the minimums on the account. I can't say for the first few months because it would be 2 or 3 months before he made a payment, but you see,
Okay, now how much does he owe
owe
altogether on your credit card? Take it out. We'll show it to him. Together with the purchases.
The total that that I have mine made up for is $4,926.60. That's documented amounts.
Okay. Have you shown those to him, those charges?
Yes, he has copies. He
You
has
have
been
copies
given
of those,
copies
sir?
in the past of all
I've had
of them.
copies. I don't have them with me now.
But you've seen them?
I've seen them, yeah.
Good. Now what about your credit card?
Okay, my credit card started out with he needed a gas tank fixed in his 68 Camaro because at the beginning of our relationship, that was his transportation to work. He didn't have the money.
First, what prompted you to have him come into your house? How long had you known each other before you decided to move him into your house?
We were friends before, and then we got together, and we were together every day since. And so
How long?
How long? That once we got together.
Now, how long were you friends first?
Oh, May of 96.
Yes.
And then got together July 4th.
Of 96?
Yes.
A really long courtship. At least 8 weeks.
Well, he's a very smooth talker. I was also coming out of a bad marriage, and it's nice when someone tells you, you know, all these wonderful things about you and makes you feel wanted and loved, which is what I needed at the time, I guess. And I think he played on that too, but that's a personal thing.
So he moved in.
Yes. And we made a room for his daughter. She had her very own room. My mom and I purchased all the stuff to decorate it. We made them, it was their home.
Are any of these bills for what you did in furnishing his daughter's room?
No. And Tiffany has her bedding and stuff. Her mother has it. She uses it with Tiffany.
But those were gifts?
Right, those were gifts, yes.
Okay, but so now tell me about how you came to give me a credit card.
He needed a gas tank, like I said, the repair, and he didn't have the money. And, you know...
Did you know that he was already using your mother's credit card?
No, he hadn't. He used mine before he used my mom's.
Did you know that he had used your daughter's before you let him use yours?
I don't really remember if I knew it specifically that he had.
Go ahead.
So we got his gas tank repaired. He was driving a long distance, and he'd run out, basically have to fill up just to get back home because it was all pouring out on the ground.
And how much was that?
That was $120. That's a rough. I mean, I have it of the credit card thing.
Okay, but there are a lot of bills here, according to you. 3,000 some odd dollars worth.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She came in just ranting and raving because I was leaving. She didn't want me to leave. And then after she hit me, I defended myself and pushed her to the ground. Yes, I did.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 25-year-old Cammie Holman says the man she thought she loved, 24-year-old Jeffrey Slater, conned her and her mother, Lois Teeters, out of thousands of dollars. Jeffrey says Cammie is angry because they broke up.
Give me an idea of what he was purchasing on your credit card.
On mine specifically?
Not yours.
Robinson's May. He needed new clothes. Like my mom stated, he had gained weight when we got together. I guess he liked my mom's cooking. I don't know. So there were lots of purchases for new clothes for him, as well as one of his mom's Christmas present was purchased on my Robinson's May card.
Did you purchase your mother's Christmas present on her credit card?
She purchased it, yeah.
He was with me at shopping. His mother would not have gotten a Christmas present, or her boyfriend, if it hadn't been me paying for it.
Well, I understand that, but did he say, can I buy my mother a Christmas present and put it on your card?
No.
Shh. Did he say that to you?
He said, I said, we need to go shopping and buy your mom something. He said, well, what should we do? I said, well, let's go to Robinson's May and get something for her. So we went, because I have a Robinson's May card. But that's only $21.54. That's...
Well, you see, that's a problem.
Right.
Because in order to have an agreement for him to pay you back, there has to be some sort of an agreement. This wasn't a, you know, I'll lend you the money to buy your mom a Christmas present.
So we can get rid of the Christmas
present. So give me
that's
some
fine.
others.
Okay, so he got clothes for him, $297.25, $132.50, $43.09. Those are all clothes for him.
Give me some of the big bills that come up to $3,000.
Jacob's electronic system, that is an electronic system for his 68 race car, his Camaro. It's an electronic system.
And how much was that?
Part of it was $515.44. The other part is $281.85.
Does that, Mr. Slater, have a familiar ring to it?
I know exactly what the Jacob system is.
No, but does that bill?
Oh, yeah, the bill, no, I know exactly what it is.
Well, then tell me about it, sir.
Well, during the time that we were living together, I went ahead and we were building my race car, or at the time we were building it.
What do you mean we were building your race car?
They were helping me purchase items for my car.
Yeah.
And during that time, I purchased an electronic system for making the car run proper, and I went ahead, ordered it with their consent, and when it came in, as time came on, I gave money for it over a period of time.
So you're telling me that you paid it all off?
I'm not saying I paid everything, because a lot of the stuff that we had purchased were purchases together.
No, not for your car.
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
Let's just talk about the car. I mean, I read your answer, and you seem to say, I don't owe her anything. That these were things that were purchased sort of as a couple.
A lot of stuff was purchased as a couple, yes, but as the car, over the course of time that I've lived there, I have paid money to the credit card companies
How
direct.
much? Show me.
This here, what I have in my hand is basically a check register on two different things that shows documentation.
I'm not interested in your check register, sir.
Well, what I'm saying is this here shows what I paid, when I paid, and amounts.
It shows nothing. Canceled checks show what you paid.
Okay, well, I can get canceled checks, but I did not get any, no.
Well, where did you think you were coming today, sir? To a ball? You were
Well-
coming to court. What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a store manager.
Which means that you know something about business.
Correct.
Right? You can take a check register and sit down and do it almost like a novel. Write whatever you want in there. That's why we use canceled checks as proof. What is that? That is nothing. A
No.
check register is a nothing. How much did he pay in total on your credit card?
I don't know. I didn't include any of the ones that he had paid.
None.
No.
And what about you, Cammie?
He gave me about $140. That went to, he took my car to Bakersfield.
Whatever. He gave
And
you about
used a gas card.
$140.
Yes,
Can I
it
see some of
wasn't
these?
credit
Now I
cards.
want to take a look at some of the charges.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's the whole
These-
package. Yeah.
There's letters in there saying, we highlighted some
I don't
parts
want the
for you.
letters. I just want to see
Okay. It just says that he's going to pay us. So I didn't know that particular one right there on top.
Jacobs Electronics ignition system, $515. Is that you?
That was mine.
Okay. How about trip to Texas airfare? What is
That-
that?
When we were dating, we were going to plan a trip to go to my father's house, and I didn't have the money at the time, and she made the arrangements with my job. She went ahead and purchased the tickets for me, Cammie, and my daughter, and we flew out.
So this was for me to go back and meet his family, to meet his family.
Is that what the trip was intended for, sir?
It was just supposed to be a trip for all of us to go visit, because I haven't seen my father in quite a few years.
Well, why should she pay for that?
It was a gesture. She
No.
she said okay, and then I was going to
Stupid
pay
one.
part of it,
You were going to pay part of it.
Yeah, I was.
How much?
as much as my plane ticket was.
And what about your daughter?
Well, we hadn't talked about that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Pay $72 to get your hair styled. They're ripping you off, sir.
Real people, Judge Judy. Cammie Holman says she thought she loved 24-year-old Jeffrey Slater until she realized he was conning her and her mother, Lois Teeters. Jeffrey denies the allegation.
We have something here. Spark plugs.
Yeah, he bought new spark plugs and wires for his car, Excel. It was at an auto parts store.
that
They
you
wouldn't
t-
take his check.
Is that you, sir? Spark plugs.
Yes,
That
probably.
sound familiar? Why don't you
could be.
pay your own bills? Why are you relying on these two ladies to pay your bills?
During that particular thing there, they would not accept a check from me at that time for whatever reason.
So why don't you just give them cash? Everybody accepts cash.
I didn't have cash on me.
Well, why
And
don't you
then-
just go to the bank and get cash?
Well, we were going to, but Cammie said, well, why don't we just put it on my charge and then you can pay me back.
You said, can we just use your charge instead of having to leave and go to the bank and come back?
All right. Look, there came a time when you left, right?
Yes.
Why?
Things were working out between us, and I decided, things were going to work out for the long term, and I wanted to get out of there. And then after I left, things started getting more hectic. I had to have the cops called on her at my job.
Why is that, sir?
Because he hit me and threw me on the ground and left bruises, which the bruise pictures are at home. We accidentally forgot them.
When she came in my job, she come in ranting and raving because she didn't want me to leave, first of all. And
'Cause you owe my
I
mom
said,
money.
okay. She came in just ranting and raving because I was leaving. She didn't want me to leave. And then after she hit me, I defended myself and pushed her to the ground. Yes, I did. And then after that, I got up, grabbed the phone to make a phone call to the police. And at that time, when I started coming up, she comes around our counter bin and hangs up the phone. And then grabs me by the hair and just yanks
No,
a ton of
that's
hair
not
out.
what happened.
And then during that time, then she's saying, well, you owe my mom this, you owe my mom that, and I want it this and that. And then my phone rang. I finally got away from Cammie. And when the phone rang, I answered the phone, and it was the Fullerton Police Department when they had to come out and
How
take her.
much after you left did this incident occur? Assuming, sir, that what you say is true, how much after you left did she come to your job?
Oh, she came to my job a couple times, but we had numerous amount of phone calls during the day. And then what finally ended up happening after I had the cops come, I had to leave that job and go to a whole different area and get away from them because of the phone calls and everything else. I was in the verge of losing my job because of it.
And how much money have you sent to both plaintiffs since you left?
Since I left?
Yes.
Not specifically to them, but that I sent to the credit card companies are probably around maybe $800 or so.
Just a minute. $800?
Roughly.
Show me the last bill here. And now, in what month did you leave, sir?
May.
Now take out your last check register. I love it when a game plan comes together. Your last check register, sir, since May.
This particular one right here is one of the last ones that I made.
The last bill that came from NBNA and stuff, I think. Is what
May. What date did he leave?
May 1st.
May 1st.
That's what time I told him to get out. He came
Just
and
a second. Shh. Is your credit card MBNA?
That's mine.
That's yours. All right. So here we have MBNA, $140. And then we're going to go down, and I'm going to see if I can find after May the rest of the $800. Let's see here. I must be missing something.
It might be right in April, too, when I paid some money.
We're not talking about April. I'm talking about since you left, sir.
Well,
I speak English. Do you speak English?
Yeah.
You said after May, after you left, you gave her about $800, and that your check register is accurate. So I see May 15th, $140. I'm just looking for the rest of the $800. I see one in July to a Powerhouse Gym for $350.
No,
Mr. Slater?
That's something else.
That's something else.
And that might be not be the most current one because I had to change bank accounts.
No, this goes, sir, through all of the months. June, July, August. This does
I know,
everything.
but I have two different checking accounts.
I don't know exactly.
Sir, you see anything written on my forehead? Huh?
No.
Who's Nicole?
My hairstylist.
Pays $72 to get your hair styled.
He pays for his
They're ripping you
girlfriends
off,
as well.
sir. Well, so far, sir, all I see of the $800 is $140. Nothing else. I see another $380 for your gym. You spend a lot of money between your haircuts and gym. Nothing for what you owe.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Sir, you have to take responsibility for what you do. These people are not related to you by blood. They are not related to you by marriage.
Thank God.
You had a relationship with this young lady. She thought it would work out. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. In any event, you spent a lot of their money. Not only did you spend it, you enjoyed it, and you have the fruits of it. You're driving around in a car unless you sold it that they fixed. You're wearing nice clothes that they paid for. You have a nice stereo system that you listen to. And on and on and on, based on these bills that you say you saw. So you owe them the money. And your excuse that you didn't have an agreement with them is just a lot of baloney. I mean, I don't think that these are ladies that have an awful lot of money. And I think, furthermore, your conduct, knowing that you owe them the money and spending in 2 months' period of time almost $800 on a gym and $70 to get your hair coiffed is a lot of nerve. So the judgment in the case is for one plaintiff in the amount of $3,000 and the other in the amount of $4,900. That's all.
Pardon that excuse. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next,
Parties on Coleman versus Smith. Step forward, please.
39-year-old Philadelphia transit worker Vanessa Coleman says a man she used to date, Theodore Smith, stole her car for 2 days, then returned it damaged. Mr. Smith claims he had Vanessa's permission to take the car and is not responsible for the damage to the vehicle.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. All rise. Judges, number 220 on the calendar in the matter of Coleman versus Smith. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
All right, Miss Coleman, you say that Mr. Smith stole your car.
Yes.
He said he borrowed it with your permission. In any event, the car, something happened to it, it was damaged. You want to get paid.
Yes.
So first let's start on the 27th of June, which is when this whole thing came down, I understand. He took the keys from your house.
Yes.
Tell me how that happened.
I had got home from work early this day, and the maintenance man, name is Derek, asked me if I could run him and Mr. Smith up to cash their check.
He was a neighbor of yours?
Yes, he's a neighbor. And so I did this and came back home, and I knew I was going out that evening, so I came in to change, to get ready. So while I was in the house changing, Mr. Smith rang my bell. I asked who it was, and it was saying he responded, so I went to the door and let him in. So we were down there talking, and I noticed that I have a countertop in my living room that the keys were laying there. So I went back upstairs and told him that I was getting ready to go out that evening, and I left him downstairs. So anyway, as I got ready to come back down to leave, I noticed that my keys weren't on the counter anymore. So I figured, well, maybe I took them back upstairs. And I went back upstairs, and I didn't see the keys up there either. And I checked all in my pocketbook, and I couldn't find my keys.
Didn't find the keys? So did you call the police?
I called the police that evening because I waited to see maybe he would bring the car back. So I waited and waited, and I did finally call the police and report the car stolen that evening.
Now, that was June 27th.
June 27th.
When did you get the car back?
My niece found the car June 29th, which was a Sunday.
And what was the condition of the car when it was found?
Trying to move the car wouldn't move.
Okay, so it was damaged.
So it was damaged.
Well, he acknowledges that the car was damaged while you were driving it, sir. Now, why don't you tell me your version of how you got possession of these keys?
Ms. Coleman and I, we live 2 doors apart from each other.
Had you been friends before this happened?
Yes, we were. Yes, we were. We were also seeing each other.
No,
and
we weren't,
probably
Your
starting what I would call the start of a relationship.
What do you mean?
She and I had spent time in each other's house a couple of times, having dinner, ice cream, these sort of things.
That's nice.
I've used a car before, and I've driven a car and brought it back.
With her permission?
With her permission. I had asked her, could I use the car to make an errand to my mother's house? My mother lives in walking distance, 10 minutes, and driving, it's 2 minutes. The car was parked 4 blocks away from my mother's house.
Just a second. You asked her if, according to you, you asked her if you could ride to an errand to your mother's house.
Yes, I did.
You didn't tell me what she said.
She said yes. She gave me the keys, which was a full set of keys. At that time...
And you intended to be back in...
In moments, because
moments.
she had told me she...
You intended to be back in moments, and you knew she was going out.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
She gave me the keys. Her and the landlord were standing on the pavement, talking, as I got into the car and exited the block. About 5 minutes into the journey after the car, I stopped at the intersection. I tried to engage the shifter to go on. The car wouldn't move. It didn't
All right,
respond.
you knew at that point, to make a long story a little shorter, you knew at that point that there was something wrong with the car.
Yes.
What did you do then?
I had a friend who was with me.
Which friend was with you?
A gentleman I picked up.
Just a second. A gentleman you picked up where?
This was on the block of my mother's house. The
Who
street
was
where
that?
my mother lived there.
Who was that?
It was a gentleman named Boo.
Boo.
Right.
Does Boo have a last name?
Boo Rogers, yes he does.
What'd you
Actually,
pick up Boo for?
he was going in the same direction I was coming back. So I
you
was
had
giving him a lift.
So what you're saying to me was you had already been at your mother's house.
Yes.
So you did the errand at your mother's
Yes, I
house
did.
already. You sure about that?
Yes.
Go ahead. And you're on your way back with Boo in the car.
Right.
Go ahead.
The car broke down at the intersection. We both got out. We pushed the car. At that time, I'm not knowing too much about cars. I asked him. He didn't know too much about cars. So I went to a payphone. I called a friend who did know about cars. He came and checked the car out. He told me, Mike...
Why didn't you call her?
Well, at that particular time, I wanted to see what was wrong with the car.
Now listen, Mr. Smith, let's talk logic here, sir. You said you were going to be back in 2 minutes. You knew she was going out. Mm-hmm. Now you're out for well beyond 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. You pick up Boo. Then you call one friend. The person that you don't call is the person whose car it is, who has to go out, and you know that she was going out. So I don't understand why you didn't pick up the phone and say, I'm going to try to fix the car. I'm having some trouble with it.
I agree with you.
Good. I'm glad you do. It makes me feel better. Go ahead.
Thank you. So the gentleman came, we looked at the car, and he told me that the clutch was dry. It needed hydraulic clutch fluid.
Okay, so then what did you do?
Well, we tried
Now we're looking for fluid.
Right.
We got Boo and we got fluid.
Exactly. I tried to get the fluid.
How did you try to get the fluid, sir?
We went to an auto supply store.
And how far away from where the car was?
It was a
that?
distance.
How about how far, sir?
10-minute ride.
How'd you get there?
In his car. The gentleman who came to look at the car, who was a
Just a
mechanic.
minute. Let me understand this. All this time you haven't called her yet.
No, I haven't.
Keep going.
That was it.
And so what'd you do?
Upon not getting the car started, again, I did not call her. I went home. I tried to contact her then.
How did you try to contact her?
By calling her on the phone.
And what happened?
I got no answer.
Chuck! I'm having too good a time with this, please. So you tried to contact her, you called her, and there was no answer.
Exactly.
So I assume you wrote out a note.
No, I did not.
Because you're right next
No,
door.
I
You
did
wrote
not.
out a note and you say, don't worry about your car. It broke down. Here's where it's located. You went and tacked it on a door.
No, I did not.
No, you did not.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The reason why I sued him for that because,
To teach him a lesson.
yes,
And later today,
So you made trouble between her and her son. You were a pig about the money that you won. You really are nasty.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 39-year-old Vanessa Coleman says Theodore Smith stole her car and returned it 2 days later with extensive damages. Theodore says Vanessa gave him permission to take the car and denies any responsibility for the damage.
It's not really urgently important, Miss Coleman. Listen to me. It's not urgently important whether he drove the car with or without your permission. He's responsible for the damage to your car. Now, I don't think he can look me in the eye and deny that, right, sir?
I agree with you.
Right. So, did you have the car fixed?
oh yes.
Let me see the repair bill. When did you finally tell her where the car was?
Never.
I didn't. The car was recovered Sunday morning. I woke up, came out, the car was in front of her house.
Weren't you curious as to how she found it?
Not really. No. No.
I don't understand these bills, Miss Coleman.
Okay,
Let's understand.
I don't
little
understand them either, young.
The short bill is the actual estimate that all the damages that I had done to the car. The other estimate is just for the damage that he did, which was to the clutch and the shifter.
Well, $460. Is that what you paid for the damage that
I
he
paid
did?
900 and, what is it, 945?
Yeah,
I
but
paid
you
for
know,
all
you're
the
not talking about a
damages.
wheel alignment and front brakes.
See, I didn't
and outer
charge him.
seats.
I didn't charge him for that. I just charged him for the clutch and the shifter.
But she's
Yes.
suing me for
But-
$945.
Just a second.
And the reason why I sued him for that because,
To teach him a lesson.
yes, he denied. He denied to pay me
Well-
anything except for the $60
Lesson
he
well
gave
learned.
me.
Miss,
you.
he gave you $60?
He gave me $60.
What'd you give her $60 for, sir?
The first day that this had happened and she told me she was putting the car in the shop,
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'm going to give you some money to start on. This is initial payment. Give me a receipt and I'll pay the rest gladly.
Right.
She never gave me a receipt. She refused to give me a receipt. This happened
All
on...
right. Got it. Listen, Miss Coleman. He has to pay for the damage he did on the car. If I could
Thank you.
add on a couple of bucks for bad manners, you know, I would do that, but that's not what we're about.
Yes.
He's got to pay for the damage he did to the car, $460.
Yes.
And I would suggest to you, if you ever made a loan to him of your car or anything else that you value.
Never again.
What?
Never.
Right.
You know it.
Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
I'll be back to it till you're ready.
Thank you.
And now the next case.
Parties on Travis versus Hood. Step forward, please.
Avid bingo player, 57-year-old Fanny Travis, is suing her son's girlfriend, Betty Hood, claiming they made a deal to split a $10,000 bingo jackpot if either of them won. Betty denies they had any agreement.
Miss Travis, you are an avid bingo player.
Yes, I am.
And the defendant used to be your friend.
My son's girlfriend.
According to your complaint, you were playing bingo one night back in August.
Yeah.
And you played together, you and the defendant, and your daughter.
My daughter.
And a couple of other people.
Not the one, not her. She's not here.
Another daughter.
Another daughter.
And then there was advertised a super bingo party for September.
Yes.
And you had to buy packs of $50 worth of bingo cards.
That's right.
So you say you bought packs of cards for several people, including the defendant.
That's right.
And it was your agreement with her that what?
If anybody won, I would get half of the winning.
And then she won.
She won.
$10,000.
Right.
Bingo. She gave you $1,000
Right.
and said, I'm not giving you any more.
No, she never said that.
What did she say?
The people at the bingo was going to count me the $5,000. You only get $5,000 that night. The next $5,000 we had to come back that Monday. It was on a Saturday night. So they was finna give me the money because the bingo staff knew I had bought all the cards. I told them to count it to her. At the time, they counted out $1,000. She gave me the $1,000, and they gave me the slip and told me to come back Monday and pick up the rest of the money. And in the car, I gave her the slip and told her to wait. Monday, I'll go with you, and I want the rest of my money.
All right, you gave her the slip.
And told her in the car, I gave her the slip and told her I would go with her Monday and pick up the rest of my money.
Okay, so you said, I'll go with you Monday.
And pick up the rest of the money.
Okay, and what happened?
She dodged me all day Monday. I was at bingo waiting on her. She went out late Monday night. Had my grandkids tell me that Dad and Betty told us not to tell you that they gone to bingo. So she went out and picked up the money. When I got my son Monday night on the phone, he made a statement, you made a $1,000 profit off of her. I said that was not the agreement. She made a $9,000 profit off of me because we were supposed to split. So that I finally got her Tuesday night and asked her for my money. She said, I spent it. And I said, no, I want my money. You knew it wasn't all yours to spend. Then I called my son. He came out the next day, which was a Tuesday. I went and filed, I went and filed a claim on her. Then my son came up to the house the first time in his 33-year-old life, cursed me like a dog, saying that if I go through with it, he wasn't going to be my son no more.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're not a very nice young lady. She didn't know you a thing. Who are you to her? Nobody.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Fanny Travis says she made a deal with Betty Hood that they would split a $10,000 bingo jackpot if either of them won. Betty denies they had any such arrangement and feels she was being generous by giving Fanny $1,000 of her winnings.
Before she got the bingo cards, according to you and according to your daughter, you told her that if you win, half is mine.
Yes.
Is that correct? Before she had the cards in her possession.
Correct.
Okay, Betty, let's hear your version of this.
When she won that $2,500 that night, she was giving me and her daughter $100. And she sent out that 100, that 50 go for that package. I did not hear no split winning. And now she's saying for that, when I won the $10,000, that they gave her the receipt. They did not give her the receipt. I signed for that receipt that night. That's the only way that money came to me. I had the receipt in my belongings.
Well, my question is, You say that the previous month, she won some money.
Yes.
And very generously gave you $100. Only gave you $50 in cash and then bought the other packet for the other $50.
Right.
Is that what you're saying? Mm-hmm. Did that happen?
No.
Yes.
I only gave her 50. She didn't even know I was
Actually-
buying these packs. She never knew I was buying these packs until 3 weeks later.
That's very generous of you to give him anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't have to give him anything. Why did you give her $1,000?
Just being generous.
You had a conversation with the plaintiff that night, the night that you won the $10,000, correct?
Correct.
And she made it clear to you,
No,
after
she-
you won, let's
No.
not say before, after you won, that she expected half of your winnings. Is that right?
Correct.
Did you say to her that night, I'm not going to give you half the winnings?
No, I said you must be joking.
No. Let me ask you this question, Miss Hood.
Mm-hmm.
Does this sound familiar? That when you were leaving that night, and she said to you that should anybody win with cards that she bought, there would be a 50-50 split. And you said, we ain't going to win no way anyway. Does that sound familiar to you?
I say that all the time.
I asked you on that night, did that sound familiar to you?
Okay, what was the question again?
You said, we ain't going to win no way anyway.
Right.
Isn't that what you said?
Right.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You're not a very nice young lady. Miss Hood, first of all, you've made trouble between this lady and her son.
No, I did not.
Oh, sure you did. Oh, sure you did. First of all, just by being there that night, by breathing that night in September, you were coming away $5,000 richer. You didn't make an investment. You didn't buy the cards. You didn't plan the evening. Nothing. She gave it to you. And she was generous to you at other times, too. She didn't owe you a thing, except that you're the mother of at least one of her grandchildren. So she was being nice to you, and I assume she's a generous lady anyway. So you made trouble between her and her son. You were a pig about the money that you won. Absolutely did the wrong thing. And Miss Hood, life has a strange way of coming up and biting you in the back if you do the wrong thing. What you did over money, by destroying this little family, she had a son who she never had a harsh word with. And I assume she did other things. She ever babysit for you?
Yes.
You had to run to the doctor or something? Had to run someplace else? She took care of your son? Yes?
Yes.
You really are nasty. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff for the amount of $4,000. You already got your $1,000? $4,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the
Parties on Hayes versus Hayes. Step forward, please.
59-year-old Charlie Hayes is suing his daughter, 37-year-old Carolanda Hayes, for money she took from a bank account set up by her grandmother.
Order, all rise. Judges, number 275 on the calendar in the matter of Hayes versus Hayes. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
I must tell you both that there is nothing sadder for a judge than seeing a family torn apart by money.
I totally agree.
Mr. Hayes, this is your daughter.
That's correct.
And as I understand this complaint, your mother, who is still alive, is that correct?
That's correct.
How old is she?
94.
Where does she live?
She lives with me.
How long has she lived with you?
She's been living with me almost 6 months now.
Where did she live before that?
She lived at 137 Baker Apartment 1.
And she moved in with you, why, sir?
Because she's been diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Now, you have power of attorney over all your mother's property recently acquired, is that right?
That's correct.
According to your complaint, your mother, during her lifetime, set up different CDs and bank accounts for her children and her grandchildren. You're one of the grandchildren.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, your daughter went to the bank and took out a loan against the CD that was in your mother's name in trust for her.
That's correct.
Is that right?
That's correct.
And she did so without your knowledge as the person with power of attorney over your mother's affairs. Why did you do that?
I went to the bank under my grandmother's consent. She told me to go get the interest that was on the CD.
When did your grandmother tell you that?
She told me, she's always telling me that, Carlonda, to help you and the kids, go get the interest on your CD, go get the interest on your CD. And I was like, no, because the interest was only $500. I was like, the $500 is not going to help me, Nan. She said, go to the bank and get your interest off your CD.
Okay.
So when I went to the bank...
When? Let her finish, sir.
When I went to the bank, the Great Western representative told me that you could take out a loan against your CD. You don't have to take out the interest. You can just go ahead and take out a loan for 90%.
90% of what was in the account?
Exactly.
And how much was in the account altogether?
Well, the original CD was for $10,000.
Okay. When you say the original CD, had it grown?
There was interest on it from Bayview Federal, where it was. It grown to... My grandmother had left the interest in there, I guess, a couple of times, and it was $10,900.
It was $10,900 when you took out this loan against it?
No, ma'am. It was only $8,000 by the time I got there to the bank.
It was $8,000. Now, how did the account read? What's your grandmother's name?
Nancy.
Nancy
Buckner.
Nancy Buckner in trust for?
No, it read Nancy Buckner, Carolanda Hayes, power of attorney Charles Hayes. Because by
Can I see the way the account is written, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were told that you could take out a loan.
Right, for 90% of the CD.
Okay. And you did?
I didn't take out 90. I only took out 50.
So you took out $4,000?
Yes.
And you had to pay back the interest?
Exactly.
Did you do that?
No, because they told me that no payment was needed to be made until June, a year later. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to make any payment throughout the year. I could pay $20, $10, or zero until the next year.
Well, Mr. Hayes, this says that this account is in your name, Nancy Edwards, and Carolanda Hayes. That's her.
That's correct.
This isn't an in trust for account.
No, ma'am.
It was in trust until I moved it. It wasn't in Great Western.
I don't care where it was. Listen to me. This has 3 names on this account.
I realize that. Yeah.
That means anybody can do whatever they want with this bit of money. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So you're suing her, your daughter.
That's correct.
I'm going to find out why in a second, Mr. Hayes.
Because he's greedy.
For $4,497, which is, I assume, $4,000 that she took out and the other $400 for some sort of interest. Is that right?
No.
What?
It's for a credit card that she took out in my mother's name in Nordstrom's that she didn't pay.
I don't have that in the...
I have it here, Your Honor.
I don't care what you have there. I don't have it in your complaint, sir.
And I didn't know about this credit card.
You don't have to address the credit card. It's not in his complaint.
Okay.
It's not in his complaint. It's not here, period.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Hayes.
Yes.
She took out $4,000, therefore you're suing her for $4,000. She can take out that money if she wants to.
Yeah, I understand that.
So why are you suing her?
I'm suing her because she didn't pay for it. She made no efforts to pay for it. Can I explain to you how this led up to this?
Sure.
She started off from the day that she graduated. My mother bought her a new car to graduate. From there, she went on to college. A couple of years later, she wanted to get married. She came home. My mother and I paid for her wedding. Came a little over $12,000. After her wedding, she moved on. After she moved on, a couple of years later, she wanted a divorce. She got a divorce. She moved on to Atlanta. In Atlanta, she got in a little trouble. She wanted to come home. She borrowed $3,200 to come home. She said she would pay for that.
Borrowed from whom?
From my mother. Then once she got here, she didn't have any money, so she needed a place to stay. So she borrowed another $1,600.
From whom?
From my mother.
When you say she, Mr. Hayes,
yes.
When you say she borrowed the money, were you there when she spoke to her grandmother?
No.
No, I wasn't there, but by me being power of attorney, my mother explained this to me.
Just a second. When did your daughter take this money from your mother? How long ago?
That's been about 5 years ago.
And when were you appointed power of attorney?
1993.
So this all happened before you were appointed
Yes.
as power of attorney. So let me explain something to you, sir. I assume that you were given power of attorney over your mother's money because you say that she suffers from Alzheimer's. She can't take care of her affairs. Is that right?
Not only that, as that I'm the eldest. And
doesn't make any difference. Eldest. So she gave, with no notes, I assume.
No notes. This was
her
just
granddaughter money.
Correct. That's correct.
Good. That's what grandmothers do with their grandchildren.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He wants all the money. He wants to take everyone's money, and he doesn't want to see us with anything. He wants to remodel his home, buy his Harley Davidson, his boats, and everything else.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Charlie Hayes is suing his daughter, Carolanda, because she took money from a bank account set up by her grandmother. Carolanda says the account was opened for her benefit and the money was rightfully hers.
Go ahead. So tell me some more. So she got into trouble. She came back. It's another $1,600. Go ahead.
Would you tell her quit saying words to me?
I don't want you to speak to him.
Yes, ma'am.
If you're speaking to him, I don't want you to speak to him.
I'm not speaking to him.
Good. Go.
Okay, now my mother calls me. She says, I want you to go and give Carolanda the interest off her CD. So instead of making it, just getting the interest off of it, I went and put it into Great Western. It was in Bayview Federal. I put it into Great Western. So then I called her and told her to go down, put your Social Security number on it so that you can get the interest from now on. Therefore, I will put your name on the CD. Her name wasn't on the CD.
That's a lie.
Shh.
Her,
Hey.
He's not telling the truth.
Well, show me.
Show me.
Show me that your name was on the CD.
Oh, it was on the
Show
CD.
me. That's what I want to see. Show me.
I'm saying he's lying
Show me.
about the reason why he put my name in the CD.
Show me. Before I went to Great Western, what bank was it in?
Bayview Federal.
Show me Bayview Federal. This doesn't show me anything.
Okay.
would you tell her also, Your Honor, do not call me a liar?
Shh. Listen. I didn't hear that she called you a liar, sir. If she called you anything, she's not supposed to speak out in court unless I speak to her.
Thank you.
Right now, I'm not speaking to her. I'm not looking at her.
Thank you. So anyway, I went in to take care of some banking business at Great Western, and the bank agents told me that there's no payments been made on this loan, and there's no interest been paid on it, and within the next 6 months, we're phasing out this type of loan because the bank isn't making any money on it. So I said, okay, I'll get in touch with my daughter. I called my daughter, and I asked her, I said, what are you going to do about this? She says, I don't have any money. I'm not going to pay it. Sue me. That's where we are today.
Okay. And your defense is that you didn't have to pay this money back according to the loan agreement by the bank for another few months,
No.
and therefore you were not in default.
Right.
There were a couple... Go ahead.
But he's lying. He did not call me and say that the CD was about to expire and that I better pay the interest on it or whatever. And I don't know what he did, but he closed everyone's CD. No one, all the grandchildren's, my aunts, everyone, every
How much
CD
money
is
does your
gone.
mother have in her estate, Mr. Hayes?
At the time that when she's speaking,
Now, how much money does your mother have in her estate?
she has $40,000.
And this time last year, how much money did your mother have?
Close to $80,000.
And the $40,000 was spent how, sir?
It was, she's speaking of the other loan, is because her brother took a loan out at the same time, this type of loan.
Against?
And then I had to close both of them because the bank was closing out that type of
Does
loan.
your mother get Social Security, sir?
Yes, she does.
And she gets Medicaid that takes care of her medical expenses?
That's correct.
And she owns an apartment building with 12 units, and each apartment building roughly about $500 on each building.
How many brothers and sisters do you have, sir?
I have one sister.
Okay. So I would assume that with the exception of these CDs that she had for grandchildren, how many grandchildren are there?
There was 5 of us.
That most of your mother's assets, when she passes, are going to go to you and your sister. Is that right?
No.
Yes, that's correct. Sorry.
Talking to him?
No, it goes to me. I am the trustee of the account. All of her assets goes to me.
What about your sister?
My sister gets 25% of the net gross of the building of the money after all bills are paid.
When did your mother make a will?
My mother made a will in 1993, and then she revised it in 1995.
Okay. All right. Now, let me deal with your countersuit, Ms. Hayes.
Yes, ma'am.
You are countersuing your father because you say that he has misappropriated your grandmother's money.
That's correct.
Okay. Nobody made you the monitor of your grandmother's money.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm dismissing your counterclaim. Whether someone is violating their fiduciary relationship, and your father has what we call in the trade a fiduciary relationship with his mother, is something that is going to be dealt with at some point in surrogates court, or a court where they handle estates. A judge in the surrogates court will also determine whether his mother, who he has acknowledged suffers from Alzheimer's, was able to revise a will in 1995, had the mental capacity to revise a will, and I would assume that your aunt, who is his sister, as well as whatever grandchildren there are who might have been mentioned in a prior will contest that will once it's filed and make a determination as to whether or not there has been another breach of fiduciary.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You just told me that your mother, who's 94, moved in with you because she can't take care of herself because she suffers from Alzheimer's, sir. Stop giving me a lot of baloney.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Charlie Hayes and his daughter Carolanda are in court fighting over money left in a bank account by Carolanda's grandmother. Charlie claims his daughter had no right to withdraw the money.
Let me turn now to this issue before me. What is that, Mr. Hayes?
This is the contract that she stated she signed with the bank.
That's right here.
That she would return the money?
Yes.
Yeah, fine. Okay. Now, if she did not return this money, all that they were going to do is withdraw it.
That's correct.
From the CD.
That's correct.
Now, according to your papers, sir, this CD was originally in your mother's name and trust for her.
That's correct.
Your name was not on it at all, as your mother had CDs for all the grandchildren.
She tried.
What you did, sir, was add your name, according to this, to each one of the CDs.
Only that one, Your Honor.
Why only this one?
Because I wanted to make sure that she paid it back, and if she went to the bank to get any money, I wanted them to notify me.
Well, but you know, what you've done here, sir, is you have added your name as a partner in this CD. Your mother really had no intention of making you a partner in this CD.
She knew about that.
Don't tell me what she knows. She knows nothing now. She's lucky
That's
for her
now.
that she knows. She knew nothing about what you did here, sir, because she had no intention of making you a third partner in this CD.
I took it to her and told her about this, Your Honor.
You just told me that your mother, who's 94, moved in with you because she can't take care of herself because she suffers from Alzheimer's, sir. Stop giving me a lot of baloney.
No, I'm not.
One of the things that I'm saying to you is I'm distressed. I'm distressed because I don't understand why you as a parent, and your daughter has probably cost you a lot of money over the years.
Of
Or it
course.
cost your mother a lot of money. She's probably made some mistakes, and she has been indulged by an indulgent grandmother when she's run into financial difficulty. But what we're talking about is a father suing his daughter for money that really isn't even yours.
I don't want the money.
Well, what I'm asking you, Mr. Hayes, is why bring your daughter to court over this money, which is not... The truth of the matter is she could have taken out more, it wouldn't have been the right thing. But she could have taken out more than 50% of the money. She didn't. And I assume you have a couple of children?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a husband?
No, ma'am.
You work?
Yes.
What do you do?
Import and export.
How much do you earn?
$40,000 a year.
So you earn a reasonable living?
Yes, I do. And rent is outrageous. And 2 kids and childcare, and I'm barely
Where are the father of these 2 children? Well, that's a smile. A smile isn't an answer.
One's in Louisiana, the other one, they take care of their children, but I'm just saying that it's difficult to raise 2 kids by yourself.
Okay. Listen, there comes a point when your family's going to stop bailing you out.
I have...
Your grandmother bailed you out. She gave you money before?
Yes.
She gave you money for $3,000, $1,600, or whatever.
But 2 of them were gifts. I
I'm
graduated
not even
with
suggesting,
honors from school.
I'm not suggesting that the $3,000 and the $1,600 weren't gifts by a grandmother. Say, yeah, take the money. If you can pay back, fine. If you can't, fine. Sir, it was your mother's intention that this young lady have this money.
Up on her desk.
That's her intention.
That's correct.
That's her intention.
That's correct. I would like for her to have it up on her desk. I love my daughter. I don't want to.
Who are you?
Your Honor, I'm her mother.
What do you have to add to this?
I have to add that I've also helped her and my son.
I don't need that information. It's irrelevant whether you help them. Listen to me.
Yes, sir.
It's irrelevant that you help them. You're supposed to help them. You're her mother.
Oh, yes, and I will. Until
Good.
the day I
Nice.
die.
Sit down.
But that's not just it. I mean, she can contest that my father, he just abuses funds. He just goes
I'm not interested in that. Nobody made you your grandmother's money monitor. If you believe that your father is abusing his fiduciary relationship to his mother, go to court and seek to be appointed her guardian because he's abusing it, and then a judge will hear you, and we will move on. But you cannot, madam, countersuit for that.
I wouldn't bring my father to court.
So, well, you countersuit, and I dismissed the countersuit because you have no basis for a countersuit unless you are the guardian of your grandmother.
What he's doing is just totally wrong.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Mr. Hayes, under the law,
Yes, Your
your
Honor.
daughter did exactly what she had a right to do by taking out this loan.
What about
Under the law, she doesn't even have to pay it back because the account is in her name. And if she chooses to, she can let the loan default, and she can let the CD be reduced by the amount of the loan. That is her right because her name is on this account. Do you understand, sir?
That's my fault.
Case dismissed.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next...
Parties on Shelley versus Norian. Step forward, please.
19-year-old Peter Shelley says his former roommate, video store clerk Joyce Norian, skipped out on paying her rent and phone bills.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Judge, this is number 99 on the calendar in the matter of Shelley versus Norian. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
You all went to high school together
Right,
That's correct.
and were friends.
right.
We're.
Relax. Graduated from high school and you thought it would be a neat idea to have an apartment to live on your own.
Yeah.
Correct.
So you found an apartment,
Yeah.
signed a lease together.
Correct.
1, 2, 3. You're the other roommate.
Yes.
And then you told your parents.
Right.
And they said, forget it.
That's correct.
So you said,
Forget you.
not really.
Yeah.
According to these papers, you said, well, I'll just hang out in the apartment. I won't be able to live there, but I'll sort of use it like a home away from home.
Exactly.
Continue to pay rent? For how long did you pay rent?
For 5 months.
And how long was the lease?
6 months.
So now, Mr. Shelley, you want the other month's rent,
Yep.
which you say you owe.
Correct.
And how much was that?
$235.
She acknowledges she owes you that. But you, sir, want $3,000.
Yep. But I have reasons, though.
What?
I have reasons.
Mr. Shelley, that's why I'm here, sir.
All right.
So that you can try to convince me why she owes you $3,000.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Let's go for it, sir.
I brought a letter from my my boss, my ad manager, saying...
Don't bring me a letter from your boss. You want me to hear your boss? You bring your boss. You tell me why she owes you $3,000.
Well, she has an $835 phone bill that I have a copy of.
Good, that I'll see.
No problem.
Did you show it to her?
Yeah, she's seen it several times. Actually, she even...
you know what? I have paid so many phone bills. There's only one phone bill that I still owe you for, and I admitted it in my statement, which was $375. For the last month, I was not in the apartment, so whichever ones that were there is not my fault. So don't try to blame it on me, Peter.
Okay.
The way it works, Judge, is you get paid phone bills for the month before. She wasn't in the last month, but she was in the previous months. So
what was the month that you last spent in the apartment?
I believe it was April, and that was for the $375.
And she bounced a check previously for $387 that's carried over. That's showed on there as well. And I think Chris will testify to everything that she made every single one of those phone calls.
Oh, I admit I
outside
made
of California.
the phone calls. I made the phone calls to Florida. Judge, I have relatives in Miami and elsewhere in the United States, and I admit to it, and I've paid them previously, and the ones that I do admit for them for the $375. But I do not admit for the other ones.
No, it's $835. I think Chris
According
will testify
to you, the ones that I've
Just
made.
a second. What was your last date in the apartment?
You know, honestly, Judge, I do not remember the exact same date, but I know the month was April.
Beginning, middle, end?
Somewhere in the middle.
Okay. I have calls here to Cleveland. Who is that?
I don't know anybody in Cleveland. I admit to Miami, I admit to New York and New Jersey, but I don't know anybody in Cleveland.
Well, I have North Dade, Florida.
That's correct. I know
April
Florida.
9th. And then after that, I have no calls to Florida, but... Sorry, Miss Nurian. I just turned over the page. May 1st, 48 minutes.
Damn, sorry.
Not April.
Oh, that's good.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
May 1st, 48
Okay,
minutes.
you know, you might be correct. I'm not going to argue that.
Judge, I think my witness...
April 30th. You also called the same number in Miami, so you were there in April and May, beginning of May.
The lease, Your Honor, ended in June, and I remember that I was not there for the last part of the month. As far as exact the same date, honestly, I do not remember what it was. What had happened was my parents found out, and boom, like that, I was just out there, out the door.
Okay. Let us say that her phone bill is $800.
Okay.
And she owes you $235 for her rent, which she acknowledges. That's $1,035. Okay, Mr. Shelley. Let's go how we get to $3,000, sir.
I work in a commission-based job. I have to be using the phone. I carry a pager with me. I'm always on call. If I'm at home, I'm always on call. I'm working no matter what, all the time. If I don't have a phone, which I didn't for 2 months, very much handicaps my job. If I can't call clients back, I can't service them. I lose clients, I lose money, I lose a lot of stuff. It's just everything, I mean, everything totaled up me off. I think she should pay for it. I take cold showers for 2 months. I mean, it sounds lame,
Why did you have to
but
take cold showers for 2 months?
because she didn't pay her gas bill. And everything totaled together, just, I think she should pay for what she did.
Your Honor, and in the previous matters, you know, I've paid for everything on time, as everything was supposed to be paid of.
Why didn't you pay your last month's rent?
Okay, let me explain to you, Your Honor. My parents had found out, and my bank account, everything was with my parents' name. They had everything, a hold of it. They closed everything for me, and I wasn't working, so everything was gone from me, from getting about $4,000 a month from my parents to $0 a month. I was looking for a job. I was struggling, trying to find stuff. I know people are going to say, you know, you're spoiled. Yeah, you got $4,000. Oh, poor thing. She's not going to get anything now. Yeah, but you know what? I'm trying to do it on myself. Give me some time. I'll do it. And I've talked to him previously, and I told him, let me get myself back on my feet, and I'll pay you back. He's borrowed money from me before. You didn't see me hauling your ass. Peter, pay me.
Did I pay you back?
You did, but you didn't see me hauling your ass.
Did it take me 2 months to pay you back?
You were like 2 weeks late, but I didn't say anything to you, Peter. I didn't say anything to you, Peter.
The thing that made me the angriest, Judge, is that she said she would pay me, and she said she'd pay me several times. I wrote checks because she was going to pay me the next day. I mean, she's all, I'll pay you tomorrow, $235, no problem. And I'm all, yeah, okay, great, I'll write a check for the rent. I'd wrote 2 checks, bounced 2 checks, it ruined my credit.
Your Honor, I stepped to the apartment one time when I owed the money $235, and I left it in the apartment in an envelope, and I wrote on it, Peter. I call him, and he tells me, I didn't find it. Okay, and I was still trying to be a nice guy, and I said, okay, maybe, you know what, it got lost, because it was an envelope, it got thrown away, you know, it's a house full of men, you know, you never know, it can be thrown away. I was still trying to be the nice guy and pay him back. Oh, go ahead and laugh, Peter.
Listen.
Judge, she left it in not an envelope, she left it in a piece of notebook paper, folded up on a cluttered
How would you know
college
if you
counter.
never saw it?
You told me, you stupid... God.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They don't have phones in San Diego. You
Yes,
can't pick
I
up
did.
a phone and go, yo, I'll
did
pay
you?
you later, Peter.
Yo, shut the hell up, Peter.
Shut the hell up.
You shut up.
And later today,
Did you have acupuncture on your cat?
She also took the cat to the pet psychic.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Peter Shelley is suing his former friend and roommate, Joyce Norian, for not paying her rent and phone bill. Joyce agrees she owes some money, but claims it's nowhere near $3,000.
Listen to me, sir. You're 19?
Yeah.
You're at the beginning of your career.
Uh-huh.
We're not talking about heavy-duty problems, sir, that require this kind of anger. You understand? Sometimes you get involved in living situations and it doesn't work out. That doesn't mean you're compensated for everything from lost beepers to cold showers.
Not lost beepers, lost clients, which is...
Well, that's hard, very hard for a court to calculate, sir, how much business you actually lost as a result of your phone being turned off. And there were probably other ways that you could have dealt with it. You have a job, sir?
I was working at a warehouse previously when I was involved.
Why didn't you get a telephone?
Because I don't use a telephone very often.
Come on, give me a break. That's a dumb answer.
Chris never moved in. He never lived there. He paid rent just like her.
Just a second. So what you're telling me, you had this apartment all by yourself?
Yeah.
That's some deal. You had an apartment all by yourself. There must have been a nice apartment. 2 people who weren't really living there, but coming by occasionally. I mean, that's not a bad deal,
Yeah,
right?
no, I agree
It's
with
not
you.
a bad
That's a good deal. But that doesn't mean she shouldn't end up paying for her
she's going to
last
pay.
rent.
She's going to pay you what she owes you, sir. She's not going to pay you for your inconvenience.
And I've admitted to that in my statement, Your Honor. I was being honest about it. Yes, I do owe him the certain amount of money.
I think that you owe him a little bit more for the phone bill that you acknowledge, and I am awarding him a total of $1,035 for both your rent and the phone bill. That's all.
Thank you.
Excuse me, step out. Back up to your right.
They disconnected the phone. I didn't have time to pay
couldn't you
for
call
it.
me and say,
You know,
hey,
I
I'm
was in
gonna
San
pay you?
Diego all the time. I didn't have any connections to come down.
They don't have phones in San Diego.
Yes,
You can't pick
I
up
do.
a phone and go,
Listen to my last
yo,
statement,
I'll
did
pay you later, Peter.
Yo, shut the hell up, Peter.
Shut the hell up.
You shut up.
And now the next case.
Party's on Mizell versus Hall. Step forward, please.
38-year-old teacher Vicki Mizell is suing her neighbors, Tracy and Randy Hall, because their 5-year-old daughter, Brooklyn, broke her cat's leg by stepping on it.
I assume that that is the cat in question.
This is the cat in question.
And I assume that that is the child in question.
That's the child.
Miss Mizell, you claim that this little girl stepped on your cat, caused the cat some injuries. Your vet bills were $2,000. You want them to pay, right?
Yes.
What was your cat doing in their house? That's where this happened, is that right?
The cat was staying with them while I was out of town, but the cat had been at their house many times over a couple of month period because the cat made friends with their children. And they were from Idaho, and they were staying in L.A. for for 6 months. And so they missed their animals back home. So the cat would go over sometimes for play dates, sometimes would spend the night, had stayed with them at another time when I was out of town, and so...
Let me understand this. You asked them to do you a favor and let the cat stay at their house while you went out of town?
Yes.
And they have kids?
Yes.
3 of them.
How old are your children?
At the time, they're 3, 5, and 10.
Tell me your name.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Spell it for me.
Brooklynn.
All right.
All right, Brooklyn. That's where I was born.
Oh, honey.
Me too.
Would you like to come up and talk to me? Oh, come on up here.
Watch your step. There you go.
Hi.
Hi.
That's a really pretty name.
Thanks.
Do you know what happened to that cat that made it limp?
I just got up out of bed. I walked down the hallway and then I didn't realize the cat was there, and then I stepped on it. Then it was limping.
Okay, was that an accident? Do you like the cat? I figured you liked the cat. You play with the cat?
Yeah.
Do you have any other animals home?
Yeah, we raised some cows and a baby kitten.
Okay, are you very careful with the cat and the kitten? Okay. Why don't you go back and stand there next to your mom and dad?
I'd like to also point out that the cat, you know, obviously it's fairly old, but it also had some hearing problems.
Whatever. It was an accident in the house. Miss Mizell, now according to what I've read here, you don't have this cat very long, is that right?
The cat was a stray, and she was found a year ago, and some other people found her. And
So you've had the cat for about a year?
A year now.
Okay, and how old is the cat? Do you have any idea?
We think about 15 or 16 years old.
Okay.
And there was, at the time when we found out that her foot was broken, Mr. Halls, and we all went to the vet together. The vet explained what would have to happen, and he said to me, he said, we'll pay for half the surgery, let me talk to my wife.
Your claim against these people is $2,000.
Now.
Because that's what you've spent in vet bills.
Yes, plus, yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's say, Miss Mizell, that the vet bills to take care of the cat were $10,000. Would you have paid $10,000?
I don't know. I don't have $10,000, and I don't know.
Would you have paid $5,000?
Yes.
But you don't know if you would have paid 10.
I haven't been working. I was injured 10's a lot.
How about 20?
20,000? Mm-hmm. I would have found her a home. I would not have had her put to sleep.
But you wouldn't have paid the 20.
You know, I mean, you're asking stuff
I'm asking
that's
you these
arbitrary.
questions. I'm asking these questions for a reason.
If I had $100,000, I would have paid 20.
Yes, but you don't.
Right.
So that you yourself put a limit on how much you would spend to take care of the cat.
Well, it's actually not over yet.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It's a bad break. It's an old cat. You know, the older you get, the more brittle your bones get. That's what they tell me, at least.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Vicki Mizell thinks her neighbors, Tracy and Randy Hall, should pay her vet bills because their 5-year-old daughter broke her cat's leg. The Halls feel the cat should be put to sleep.
You are not suggesting that this child purposely hurt your cat. You are not suggesting that, are you?
I'm not, and in the records it says it was accidental.
Fine, so this child accidentally stepped on your cat.
I think it's a bad break, so, you know.
It's a bad break. It's an old cat. You know, the older you get, the more brittle your bones get. That's what they tell me, at least. And what you can withstand when you're 60, you can't withstand when you're 56. So I'm certain that this little girl, when she was walking down the hallway and stepped on the cat was just lying there. She didn't mean to hurt her. Now, you were prepared to spend any amount of money to take care of your cat. These people originally offered, according to these papers, I think $400. Is that right?
Right. When I was at the...
I think that was very... I think that really, that was very nice of them.
They never did. They said they did, and then they didn't. What?
In your written letter, it says here that we offered you the money.
I said you did offer, and then you reneged on
because
it.
it went up $500 every day.
Let me hear. Talk to me. Don't talk to her.
part of her bill was like $350 for acupuncture.
And then,
I mean,
Do you have acupuncture on your
Yeah,
cat?
but this is being exaggerated.
No,
I
just
have
did you
it
have
right here.
did you have acupuncture on your cat?
Yes, there was acupuncture on the cat, and it was not $350.
I have it.
Shh.
It's
Let me see it.
she also took the cat to the pet psychic. That's how she found out that the cat belonged to another family.
Well, that's not part of your bill.
No.
Pet
just-
psychic.
Yeah. No, I don't think it is.
Acupuncture. I guess it's
Your Honor,
$336.
they offered to pay, and when the doctor needed the money, I didn't have the money, so I went to them to get what they'd offered, and Mr. Hall said, let me transfer the funds in the morning. Call me in the morning, I'll transfer the funds. The next day, it was a different ball game.
That's not true.
It is true.
Just a second. So what you're saying is you offered to give her $400, and you're prepared to do that.
Right.
They never
Just a
did.
second.
Okay.
Just answer my question. You're prepared to do that?
Yes.
I think that that's very generous of you, sir. And this, madam, by the way, does say that you took the cat for acupuncture. It was $42 per treatment for $336. That's what this says.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You're the cat's owner, but you said I couldn't spend $10,000 because I didn't have it. So there would come a point where you would say, I can't spend anymore. These people have offered initially.
But here's what you're missing. Excuse me.
It doesn't make any difference
But they
to me.
they offered, then they reneged. They never came through. They weren't nice. They weren't helpful. They weren't supportive. They didn't even say they were sorry. None of this happened.
Well, Miss Mizell, what do you want? You want them to pay all of the medical
Well,
bills.
now, I mean, what I've been through with this has been horrendous.
All right, Miss Mizell, if you want somebody to watch your cat and if you want them to be responsible for what happens to the cat, I suggest you leave your cat in the future in the hands of a professional. Then the professional is responsible for whatever happens to your cat while your cat is in their care. That is somebody that boards animals. If you elect to leave your cat with a family that has young children and the cat is accidentally injured, then you cannot expect the parents of a 5-year-old child who there is no evidence maliciously caused any injury to your cat to be responsible. This case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
Judge Judy continues.
Flavia, step forward, please.
29-year-old waitress Georgina Thomas says her former friend, 36-year-old Carolyn Eclavia, made a false police report that put her in jail for 72 hours.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. All rise. Judge number 207 in the matter of Thomas versus Eclavia. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Thank you, Bernie.
Very welcome, Judge.
Ms. Thomas, the basis of your complaint is that the defendant had you falsely arrested, according to you, for assault, which caused you to be embarrassed, humiliated, stressed, strained, et cetera, et cetera. Is that right?
Yes.
And your story is a rather interesting one, and I think that probably it needs an airing because it led up to this arrest.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes.
How do you know her?
When I lived in Washington State about 7 years ago, I knew her just from the neighborhood we lived in. We were friends. We've been friends. Then I ran into her again down here about a year and a half ago, so we've been friends and stayed in contact here and there when we didn't lose touch with each other for almost 7 years now.
Now, you were both living on a Navy base?
Navy, military housing.
Military, both of you?
Yes, different complexes.
I understand. And according to the papers that I've seen, there was a transaction with a car that started all this trouble.
Right.
Well, tell me about that.
Okay. I sold her the car for $100, and I let her make payments on it because they had no money, no vehicle, or anything. Then I went on vacation. I signed the title and gave her the keys on the agreement that she would get it out of my name on her husband's next payday because I was leaving on vacation. And then...
what kind of car was this?
Dodge 400. I had bought a new car and I...
How old was the car?
I think at 84 or something like that.
So it was a real old car?
Yeah.
She sold you the car?
No, she sold it to my husband. I don't even drive. I've never driven.
She sold it to you or your husband, but there was an understanding that you would get it out of her name so she wouldn't be liable for it anymore.
Yes.
Did you do that?
The agreement was she would wait until we had the money, which would be the next paycheck.
But then
the
you
way
didn't.
the Navy was.
But you didn't do it the next paycheck.
We didn't have the money at that time.
I don't
until
care
she
whether
got
you didn't
back.
have the money. That's not her problem that you didn't have the money. Let me just understand this. And you didn't fulfill your agreement with her next paycheck to get the car out of her name. That's what this whole argument was about. Is that correct?
That's what started it, yes.
So then what happened?
Then she tells me on the day I got home that she had sold the car and it's out of my name. So I called the DMV and it was still in my name. In fact, it's in my name to this day.
Did you tell her that you sold the car?
Yes, I did sell the car. My husband and I had separated, and I didn't have any finances, so I did sell the car.
Now tell me about this assault. How did this all take place?
It was basically because her husband was driving a car around in my name uninsured. Then she sold it to somebody I don't even know who's driving it around
Terrible.
in my name uninsured.
She's very irresponsible.
Then I talked to her on the phone and she said, come over and get your cat. She had my cat while I was on vacation. I went over there. We got into a verbal argument. All I did was throw
Over the car?
Over the car, yes, and her not getting it out of my name. All I did was throw the litter box on the ground, and the next thing I know, the police are at my house telling me that I assaulted her and I threatened her life if she didn't sign a bill of sale. And I just kept insisting I didn't do this, you know, and they kept telling me, you know, this is what you did. And they arrested me.
Do you have a copy of the complaint?
The police report?
Yes.
No, I tried to get it, but it had been over 60 days, so they wouldn't give it to me without a court order.
This is untrue, what she says.
Just a minute. Did you call the police?
Yes, I did, and the
Why?
reason why I called the police is when she came to pick up her mail and her cat, when I turned around to get the mail, she threw the cat on me to where it clawed my back, and its claw stuck in my back. Then I went and I tried to get outside to where somebody could see what she was doing. I did not have a phone in my home. My neighbors heard and saw her yell at me and say that she was going to come back and kill me.
You called the police?
Yes, I did call the police. She
right.
assaulted me in my own home.
Well, just a minute. Did you throw your cat on her?
No, my cat was pregnant. I would not harm my cat in any way. I never touched her. I will take a lie detector. I will do anything. I never touched her. I never assaulted. I never threatened her life. I never did any of that. The only thing her neighbors saw.
You might have said a lot of loud things because you were angry.
Exactly. But the only thing the neighbor saw was me throw the kitty litter box on the ground, which was empty, and say, I'll be back later for the car because she told me to come back for the car. The guy who bought it doesn't want to deal with this.
Do you have any photographs of how the cat injured you?
I had them at home, but I never got them developed because I dropped charges on her.
Just a second.
I did not want to press charges.
Hold on a second. Well, even if you didn't want to press charges then in the criminal proceeding, you're here today, so you knew you were coming to court today. Why didn't you get the pictures developed?
Because I did not even want to have it brought this far.
But you know you were coming here, madam.
And I did not want it brought this far.
Well,
she did not drop the charges. They dropped the charges because she never responded to any of it. The DA dropped the charges.
No,
she never responded to them. I had to go to a mediator. 72 hours.
No, that is untrue.
My bill was $15,000. I was in there with hookers and prostitutes that could have got out for $150. Mine would have been $1,500.
Ms. Thomas, had you ever been arrested before?
No. I was taken to the police station one time for police disturbance when I was like 18 or 19.
You also say in your complaint that the defendant wrote letters to your husband.
Yes.
While he was away at sea.
I have it right here.
I'd like to see those letters, please.
Do you want to see the one to my housing manager?
Yes, I want to see
This is the one to my housing manager. It's signed Concerned Citizen, but you can tell the handwriting matches it perfectly.
Can I see them?
Every thing you can imagine she wrote about me.
Excuse me. If she is so nice and innocent, then why do my children fear her? The same day that she assaulted me, my son is coming home from school. She pulls up to him as he's crossing the street from the school, and she tells him that if you don't get out of the street, she's going to run him over, an 11-year-old boy.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You are full of baloney because if you had injuries in pictures, you would have brought them.
And later today,
I think at the time he had something for me or an infatuation for me, and he thought he could get on the good side of me by posting the $5,000 bail.
Well, that was nice.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Georgina Thomas says her former friend, Carolyn Eclavia, had her falsely arrested after an argument over a car.
Right now, all I have is her complaint. Put it down. I'm speaking. Speaking.
I have her complaint. In her complaint, she mentioned several things. You want to sue her? If you think you have a cause of action,
No, I did not
file a
want to
complaint. I'm asking you, did you write to her husband, Ron?
Her husband had asked me time
the answer
and time
is
again.
yes
I
or
did
no.
write him.
Good.
Yes,
and
he
this is
wanted to know if she was having an affair.
Hey, you pay attention to me. You wrote her husband. Did you write to her husband before or after this incident involving the police?
Afterwards.
How long had you known her husband?
I've known him before I met her.
So you felt compelled to say that his wife was cheating on him as a
Yes, he had asked me
boyfriend?
time and time again whether she was having an affair. And
When
yes,
did
I
he-
did write, and I did tell her, because the boyfriend was coming to the house where I babysit, where I live, harassing my sons.
It's not true.
Yes, it is true.
Just a second. All of this didn't seem to bother you when you bought her car.
Because
You
I
bought
did
just
not
a
buy
second.
it. I don't even
listen,
drive.
Listen to me. All these things, the boyfriend, who was, according to you, when you wrote this letter to the landlord, a convicted felon. She sells pounds of weed and cocaine out of her house. All of these things didn't bother you when she sold you the car a few weeks before this incident occurred. How come all these things just bothered you after the car incident?
Because the harassment didn't start until after she had the problem with my husband. To me, it was
Just a
her
minute, what-
business.
just a
I have
second,
no
what-
right to judge her.
So,
but when
what-
she started harassing me, harassing my children, and assaulting me, then yes, I believe.
Then
yes.
all of a sudden, just a minute, then all of a sudden you decided that her husband had to know, the landlord had to know about all these charges after that. But before it was okay.
I did call the DA
Just a
that
second.
had pressed charges
Hey,
time and time again.
just a second.
And no one would come because I could not afford the restraining order against her.
You don't have to afford a restraining order, madam. All you have to do is go to court. And if you have a case, you can get a restraining order. Don't give me a lot of baloney. Instead of using the court system, what you did was you wrote letters designed to make trouble for her.
Thank you.
That's what you did. And calling the police, because I don't believe she threw her cat at you.
Oh, that is
Oh, no, I don't believe it. Because I believe, madam, if she threw her cat at you, you are organized enough, based upon these letters, to have developed the photographs, which you say you have at home.
I did
When you
have
knew
them,
you
I
were
don't
coming
care.
to court today to show me the injuries, you are organized enough to do that. So I don't believe that there were any injuries. I believe that she did
Then
probably...
why would the district attorney look at him on my arms, on my back, and decide
Do
that
you-
he would press charges at her? If there was
Mrs.
nothing
Flava-
wrong, why would he take her to jail?
You are full of baloney, because if you had injuries in pictures, you would have brought them. Now, the only issue is, what kind of damages am I going to assess against you? Because I believe that you are a nasty, vindictive person.
Can I explain a
That's
little
what
more?
I believe. You are a nasty, vindictive person. And I believe that she's entitled to be compensated. Now, the truth is, you threw down this item at her.
I'm kidding.
Okay?
Not
and I
at
don't,
her on the ground.
Whatever, Miss Thomas. You were angry. Very angry. And you probably did say something like you're going to be back because you probably got into a major altercation with her. I don't believe that she had the right, really, at that point, because she was not, in fact, injured by you, to call the police. But I believe that there is more of a vindictiveness involved here than anything else. As a result of that letter that she wrote to your husband, did anything happen?
We're now getting divorced, yes.
Well, it wasn't just because of this letter, is that right?
No, we were having small problems at first, but nothing like this.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you whether you had a boyfriend or not. It's really none of my business. The letter was written maliciously, and the letter to the landlord was also written maliciously. That is Army Housing. I'm awarding you $2,500, and that's against you. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused.
you.
You may step out. Back door to your right, please.
I've taken her food. They had no food, anything. I was a good friend to her. I took her to buy the dress she has on now because she doesn't drive.
Oh, you're
I
full
did
of it.
everything for
You were
her.
nowhere
The
near
only
me.
thing I have to say is, from now on, if your big sister warns you about somebody, you should listen to it. She's just jealous. She's very jealous because I get all the attention and she gets none.
And now the next case.
Party's on Crawford versus Sullivan. Step forward, please.
30-year-old personnel director John Crawford says he bailed his friend Shannon Sullivan out of jail and he won't pay him back. Shannon claims he never asked John for his help.
You were arrested for assault. He posted bail.
That's correct.
You won't pay him the money for the bail that he posted for you.
That's correct.
Well, let us start with you, sir.
Okay.
Because I found your response, quite frankly, slightly ungrateful. Now, when were you arrested?
On the 24th of November.
What were you arrested for?
Assault.
Don't look down there. You probably don't need it, because
Actually,
I'm sure you
okay.
can tell me
It
exactly.
was the 28th of November.
And you were arrested for assaulting whom?
Somebody at a nightclub.
Were you drunk?
Nope.
So that wasn't an excuse.
No.
You just didn't like them.
No, that wasn't the fact either. I was pulling out of the driveway at the nightclub, and this particular individual walked up to my car and kicked it, a brand new car. Myself and another friend got out of the vehicle and walked up to him, and he started a confrontation. I went back to get in the vehicle, and he came in the vehicle after me. He was on top of me inside the vehicle. The police were sitting out front, and they all swarmed in, and they seen it happen.
Well, that sounds like he assaulted you, so why do you think you were arrested?
Because of the injuries on him.
Which were, I assume, substantial?
Yes.
Were you convicted of that assault,
No, I
ultimately?
wasn't.
Did you go to
The case was
trial?
dismissed.
Now, when you were arrested, you were taken to jail,
Yes.
and bail was fixed?
Actually, I was going in for my OR hearing,
What's an OR hearing?
release on my own recognizance.
But you spent the night in jail.
No, I didn't.
You spent any time in jail?
Yes,
Is the reason that you were released from jail because this gentleman posted bail?
that's correct.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Forget the bail. Why didn't you say that?
Well, I didn't think about it at the time in the bill.
Well, you should have thought about it at the time, Mr. Sullivan.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 30-year-old personnel director John Crawford says he bailed his friend Shannon Sullivan out of jail and he won't pay him back. Shannon claims he never asked John for his help.
How long did you know him before you posted this bail?
Not very long, just a couple of weeks.
And would you tell me how it came about that you posted the bail for him?
I happened to be walking out of the nightclub right as this incident started, and I witnessed it. And I saw the police take him away. I received a phone call at early hours in the morning from the friend that was with him, and he said, Shannon is in jail. He wanted me to call you, tell you that he's in jail. This friend said that he told Shannon he could not get him out of jail, and wanted to know if I could do anything to help get him out. He said that Shannon would try to get a hold of me later, which he did. He was able to call me from a desk sergeant's phone.
So he called you from a desk sergeant's phone, and what did he say when he called?
He gave me all the specific information, the case number, told me what he was booked on, told me how much the bail was. I immediately called a bail bondsman. I didn't even think twice about calling a bail bondsman. Even though we weren't really good friends, I just felt sorry for him. I didn't want anyone to have to spend Thanksgiving Day in jail when he was planning on going to see his family in Arizona the next day. So I placed bail for him. And
how much did that cost you?
Well, bail was $5,000. They charged 20% of that for fees, and then there's filing fees, so it was $760.
And did you have a discussion with him about paying you back?
He wrote me a thank you note, said, I can't believe you did that for me. Don't worry, I won't let you down. I felt sorry for him because he said that he needed money, and I actually knew of some work that was opening up where I work, and so I gave his name to some people at work. He was hired at work, worked there just a short time, and after he stopped working where I work, he stopped returning all phone calls. I tried calling several times.
All right, Mr. Crawford. Now, Mr. Sullivan, $760 is what this gentleman spent on your behalf. Now, you want to try to explain to me why you don't think you owe him this money.
First of all, I knew I was going to an OR hearing and I was going to be released, okay? When I went up to the judge for my OR hearing, she said that you were just released on a $5,000 bond. I did not know who did. I didn't contact anybody. I never contacted my family or anything. Nobody even knew about it except for Paul, which was my friend. I never requested John to bail me out whatsoever. John did it on his own. That was his own thing. He did it.
Yeah, I'd spend that much money just to be nice.
Okay.
So why didn't you just tell the judge,
first,
I'm not accepting this bail, and I'm prepared to hear whatever you have to say, and I'll plead my own case to be released on my own recognizance without any consideration of this bail, so forget the bail. Why didn't you say that?
Well, I didn't think about it at the time in the bail.
Well, you should have thought about it at the time, Mr. Sullivan. You were more than happy at the moment to say, thank you very much. Where's my hat?
Bye-bye.
He wasn't arrested. You were arrested. Sounds
Right.
to me like he was a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy for doing that. But I think there's more to it than just being a nice guy also.
Like
I think
what?
at the time he had something for me or an infatuation for me, and he thought he could get on the good side of me by posting the $5,000 bail.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah, it was too nice, actually.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You had an option, sir. Your option was to say to the judge, who posted the bail for me? Question. Answer, Mr. Crawford. Mr. Crawford.
I did ask that.
You did ask.
They did not have that at the time because the bondsman had not delivered everything over to the court
Well, if the
yet.
bondsman hadn't delivered everything over, Mr. Sullivan, they wouldn't have released
That's
you.
what I was told.
They
I didn't
wouldn't
get out
have
till 2
released
hours
you if
later.
the bondsman had not delivered all the paperwork. I've been around long enough to know that.
Okay. I'm just telling you
All
what I
right, this is not a very difficult case. You owe him $760.
Okay.
Period. End of discussion. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Stake versus Martin. Step forward, please.
41-year-old Gina Stake says she loaned her car to her 19-year-old son, Paul, who got drunk with Jamal, the 19-year-old son of Queenie Martin. Jamal wrecked the car, and Gina says Queenie should pay for the damage.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 229 on the calendar in the matter of Stake versus Martin. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir. Yes.
Oh, no. Come up here, gentlemen. This is your son, Mrs. Stake.
Yes, it is.
And Miss Martin, this is your son.
Yes, it is.
How lovely for you both. Miss Stake, you had a rental car. You let your son drive the car. He was with his friends. My reading of these papers suggests to me that both of these idiots got drunk. He drove the car right into a pole. Right?
Correct.
You think his mom, because he's a minor, should pay for the damage to the car.
Correct.
His mom says that you know your son drinks and you shouldn't have given him the car. That's your position.
That's correct.
So that you are not responsible for the damage.
Right.
Before I ask you two ladies to sit down, I'd like just for you to give me the bills for the car, and then I'm going to deal with the young men.
This is the
So the amount that you had to pay was $5,878.43.
That's the balance of it. My insurance paid $4,900.
But this is just the balance?
Correct.
Why don't you two ladies have a seat for a moment? I'll ask you to come back in a moment. Your first name is what, sir?
Paul.
Paul. And yours?
Jamal.
Now, Paul, tell me about how your mother, it came about that you asked your mother to borrow the car for the evening.
Well, it was, we all wanted to go out. He called me up. He said, what's up on the night? And I said, nothing, and got this rental car, and, you know, he wanted to go kick it. So I was like, all right, fine. You know, I told him I had no money. He said, come on now, this is Jamal.
Could you keep your voice up and try to speak slowly?
Oh, okay. He was like, come on now, this is Jamal. So I was like, all right. So he wanted to get drunk. Well, we all wanted to get drunk. So he went and bought the drink. Then after a while, we went to my...
Just a minute. So you went to your mother, and you said to your mother, what?
Well, actually, she already gave me the car. She already let me use the car.
That day?
Yeah. But
What did she say when she gave you the car?
She was like, be careful. And I said, okay.
That sounds right. You said, be careful?
Yes.
So right after your mother said, be careful, you and this genius over here decided to use the car and to go and get some booze and drink, right?
Right.
And where did you decide to do that?
At my sister's house.
Your sister's house? How old is your sister?
Well, she is about 19 now.
So you decided to go to your 19-year-old sister's house with Jamal over here and how many other people?
Just one more person, my best friend.
Now, were you drinking before you got to your sister's house? Is not an answer in court.
No.
No is an answer. So what happened at your sister's house?
Well, I said, let's leave, you know, because he got into an argument with my sister and everybody else in the house. So I said, you know, let's leave. But by that time we decided to leave, we was already toe up. We were already drunk.
What was the word you used first? Toe up.
Toe up.
Okay, go ahead.
And so, you know, I was too intoxicated to drive, but I still said, let's go. But I wasn't going to leave just right away after I said, let's go. I was going to stay there and wait until I got sobered up. But he was like, no, you too drunk. He tried to take the keys from me. I was struggling with him because I was going to throw them to my best friend across the street. But he already got the keys from me because I was too intoxicated to hold on to the keys. But I still remember that. And after that, he just got into the car. I don't remember how I got into the car. That's the only thing I don't remember. But we got into it.
Well, if you don't remember how you got into the car, you must have been 3 sheets to the wind. Did you ever hear that expression? 3 sheets to the wind?
Nah. No.
No.
So...
No. Toe up, you know. Go ahead. So now you're in a car. You don't know how you got there because you were...
Toe up.
Drunk as a skunk. Right?
Yes.
What do you remember next, Paul?
All I remember is you know, I hear the car going, and next thing I know, I hear him and my best friend in the back arguing, telling him to slow down. And I did wake up and say, slow down, and then I went back.
That you remember. You don't know how you got into the car, but you remember saying, slow down.
I do remember that.
Okay. And the next thing you know, you were dancing with a pole.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They're 2 idiots.
I agree with that. And the mother is an idiot as well.
Excuse me?
And later today...
Just a second. A bunch of guys went fishing to celebrate his wife being pregnant?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gina Stake is suing Jamal Martin's mother, Queenie, because Jamal wrecked her car. Queenie says she's not responsible, claiming Jamal only drove the car because Gina's son Paul was too drunk to drive.
Jamal!
Yes.
Let's hear from you.
Okay. On September 13th, I called him and asked him...
Let's do this. You were in his sister's house drinking.
We were outside drinking.
I stand corrected. You were outside drinking.
Mm-hmm.
What were you drinking?
A bottle of Tanqueray.
Tanqueray. That's
yes.
Vodka?
Gin.
Gin. Thank you.
Order.
All right, so you all get towed up. Tow up?
Toe up.
Tow up. You all get tow up, and you got into the car.
Yes.
And what happened?
While we were outside, I was talking to a friend, and I heard some yelling. When I turned around, Paul and his friend Jacoby were arguing about who was going to drive home. Now, I already knew that Paul had passed out, so I walked over to him and told him to give me the keys. There was an incident months before where he had gotten drunk, and I had drove him home before, and his mother had thanked me for it the next day.
Were you drunk
No.
then?
No, I wasn't.
Yes, but you were drunk that evening.
Yes, I was.
So you got behind the car, the wheel of the car,
Yes.
drunk,
Yes.
and hit a pole,
Yes.
and totaled the car.
Yes.
How old are you?
19.
How old are you?
18.
You go to school?
Yes.
You work after school?
No, not anymore.
Why?
Well, they had to let me go because I had to rephase a class. And
You had to what?
Rephase a class. That's taking the class over.
Why?
Because it was hard and I didn't understand it, so I had to take it over.
What about you?
No, I'm working right now.
Oh, good. That's good.
Thank you.
Now I'll have the mothers back. Consider yourselves both really lucky. I assume you do. You look like two absolutely lovely women.
Thank you.
Lovely, responsible women who really shouldn't be here today because they're too big to beat, for want of a better word. So you got to beat them financially in order to teach them a lesson, both of them. Because I agree with you that this young man is partially responsible for this bill. So is he. You agree?
I agree.
He had no business getting behind the wheel of a car.
That's true.
So he's got to pay.
I also agree, however, though, that mistake is also at fault.
She knew that her son had driven before drunk.
Right.
And she was hoping it would not recur. Is that right?
I agree.
Then she's partially responsible. He's going to pay half of this bill.
And what portion is mistake going to pay?
Oh, that half. That half, because it's going to take him a long time collecting cans or doing whatever he does to come up with $2,800, $2,900,
Okay.
which is what we're talking about. Bottom line is, he was the one who could have killed himself, the passengers in the car. Instead of hitting a pole, he could have hit
But who made
someone crossing the street with their baby carriage
This was
instead
3
of a
o'clock
pole.
in the morning.
Hmm?
This was 3 o'clock in the morning.
So what? Are you trying to make an excuse for him?
No, I'm just saying that no
Don't
baby,
make
no one
any
in a baby
excuse for
carriage.
him.
I am not making an excuse. I
So
have
if it
told
wasn't
him.
a baby carriage, if it was somebody
But I
coming home
understand
from a
what you're
3
saying.
o'clock shift working that was crossing the street that he could have killed because he's an idiot.
Right, I understand that.
All right, good. So let's not make any excuses. I don't like excuses for one's children. When they do something stupid, you're supposed to say, my kid did something stupid.
And that's exactly what I'm saying, Your
Perfect.
Honor.
Then he's going to
But
pay
I'm also
half.
saying that I feel that my son was a minor at the time. Her son was over 18. Yes, I am responsible for my child. Her son, who was working at the time, is responsible for himself.
Right.
Now, she sent me a letter saying that to split the difference. I sent her a letter back saying, because I feel that you are at fault as well as your son and the other gentleman in the car, I feel that the greatest burden should be paid by her and the 3 boys should split the remaining difference.
I see it differently. I see it big time differently, and I'm going to tell you why. But for the actions of your son, it is possible that that car would not have been driven that night. He didn't have to take the keys to the car and drive it. He could have said, I'm going back in the house and calling my mother and having her come and pick me up because I'm not going to drive this car while I'm drunk. If they want to act like fools and drive the car, that's none of my business. Then you wouldn't be standing here
Exactly.
today.
Also-
No, just a second. They're 2 idiots.
I agree with that. And the
All
mother
right.
is an idiot as well.
Excuse me?
I'm saying, had she not commended him, her undermining what I'm teaching my child by saying, yes, Jamal, you did a good thing driving my son home when he was drunk, maybe he wouldn't have drove this time. I'm not making an excuse, but I'm saying...
You are making an excuse,
No, I'm
madam.
not.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Like I said, this is all fine to me. There's no person in this world like me. I can overcome anything in this world at all, anything.
And later today,
Tom had been consenting to drinking and driving.
Mr. Jackson, you were blotto drunk.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Miss Morton, she said to you in her letter, split the difference
And I
with me
don't feel it
because
should be
I am
split.
prepared to accept part of the responsibility for giving my son the car. She didn't say to you, your son was driving, therefore he's got to pay the difference. She said, I'm prepared to split the difference with you. That's assuming on her part, a certain responsibility for allowing her idiot to drive the car in the first place. Come on, get it together, madam. $2,900. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
The money, that's not nothing. I'm still going to live out my dreams and become the richest person in 5 years. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like I said, this is all funny to me. They can get their money all they want to. But once they see what I become in the future, I mean, they're going to feel bad because they're not a part of it.
Well, there's somebody lying big time.
Yeah, must be, because that's what he said.
And it sure ain't me lying either.
And now the next case.
All parties on Heasley versus Jackson. Step forward, please.
Tom Heasley is suing his former friend, Clark Jackson, for wrecking his truck during a drunken camping trip. Clark says Tom encouraged him to drive while intoxicated and should share the blame for the accident.
Mr. Heasley, you and a few friends, including the defendant, went on a fishing vacation. Now, tell me about this fishing vacation. Who went on the fishing vacation?
Jesse Mobley, who's my witness, I went, and Clark Jackson went. We decided to go up to Rock Creek Lake to do some trout fishing to celebrate Jesse's wife being pregnant. So
Just a second. A bunch of guys went fishing to celebrate his wife being pregnant?
He had the choice of what we were going to do.
What's your name?
Jesse Mobley.
You must have a very understanding wife, Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
Lucky you. So you went trout fishing, got some liquor?
We brought up some beer. Clark purchased a pony keg to bring up for the second night.
Pony keg?
Yeah, 5 gallons of alcohol for our last night there.
Mr. Heasley, let's get to the truth of it. Everybody was pretty drunk, and he took your truck.
The night he took my truck, all of us had a decent amount of alcohol.
Okay. Now, how did you get behind the wheel of this truck? Tell me about it.
Well, Your Honor, we had gone up to the store the night before and gotten some firewood, and we went back to the campsite that night, and we drank a couple more beers, and we started a campfire. I went to sleep, and they burned all the firewood that night, 5 bundles of firewood. The next night, I went to go light another fire, and I realized there wasn't any firewood. And I said, well, I'll go get some. Tom, you want to go with me? And he said, no, I don't want to go. I asked Jesse. Jesse said, no, he doesn't want to go. So I said, okay, fine. I'll go get it myself.
And you had been drinking?
Yes, I had been. It was a bad judgment error, and...
Is that what happened?
Not even close.
So tell me your version of what happened.
Clark jumped in the truck without permission before Jesse and I could protest from the back of the campsite, said, I'm going to the store, jumped in, and was gone. And I waited. This was a night where he had drank quite a bit. We all had. But none of us, Jesse and I were not anywhere near as drunk as Clark was. We weren't stumbling around the campsite. We weren't driving.
Okay, so he jumped in the car. And then when was the next time you saw him?
The next time I saw him was when I decided to put on my jacket and walk up to the store because he'd been gone for an hour and a half. I met the highway patrol coming down. It's documented here. They said, Tom, your truck has been totaled. We're taking Clark down for DUI.
Which they did?
Which they did.
Now, tell me about this truck that you have. How old is it?
It's an 88 Ford Bronco. I just purchased it for $4,900.
You have proof of the purchase price of this truck for me?
Yes.
Can I have it, please? Now, Mr. Jackson, while I'm looking at that, sir, why do you feel as if you're not responsible for his truck?
Basically, Your Honor, previously, well, the entire trip up there, Tom had been consenting to drinking and driving. Everywhere we went, we were drinking. On the way up there, Tom was sitting in the back seat of the Bronco handing us the alcohol.
How old are you, sir?
I am 22.
Not true.
There comes a point, sir, that you have to be totally and completely responsible for what you do.
Yes, ma'am, I do understand that. But he did give me consent earlier that day by saying, you are welcome to drive my truck anytime this weekend. You are a very good driver. I know you can handle it.
Mr. Jackson, you were blotto drunk.
Yes, ma'am, I do understand that.
You mean you think he should have said to you, you have permission to drive my truck unless you
blotto drunk?
Your Honor, there was never a point in time where that drinking and driving was an issue.
Well, it was an issue when you wrecked his truck.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. 28-year-old Tom Heasley says while on a camping trip with his buddies, Clark Jackson wrecked his truck.
You destroyed his truck. Were you able to salvage any part of it?
None of all the salvage fees went for the tow fee, $1,000 to have it towed out of the canyon.
And you had no insurance?
Just minimal insurance.
What kind of, what's minimal? Look at me, sir.
Okay.
What kind of minimal insurance?
Just theft and collision.
Did your insurance pay anything towards the car, is what I want to know.
Not a dime. I did not receive a dime.
What was your blood alcohol on that day, sir?
Ma'am, it was .14.
So did you plead guilty to DUI?
I am in the process, yes.
Okay. Easy. Don't drink and drive.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you're 22 years old and old enough to get behind the wheel of a car, that you have to know. Don't blame anybody else. It's nobody else's fault but yours. You get behind the wheel of a car and you're drunk, you're just lucky you didn't kill yourself or, more importantly, somebody else.
Yes,
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,900. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Back up to you right now.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Parties on Atkinson versus Cope. Step forward, please.
17-year-old Kelly Atkinson says she started dating Daniel Cope when she was only 15. Now broken up, she's suing him for money he took when they were lovers.
Order. All rise. Quiet, please. Judges number 278 on the calendar in the matter of Atkinson versus Cope. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
How old are you?
25.
Did you know how old she was when you started to date her?
Yes.
How old was she?
15.
And you were 23?
Yes, ma'am.
That's very dumb.
It's a lesson well learned.
Because in addition to everything else, it's a felony. Right?
Yes.
Now, Miss Atkinson, this is your mother?
Mm-hmm.
You're 17 now.
Yes, I am.
So this suit was really filed by you on behalf of your daughter. You say that you loaned him money.
Loaned him $2,000.
For what?
Repairs on his pickup truck. Bills that I paid for him.
Like what?
Gas and power. Very, very, very often he would take me to the bank to get $20 out so he could get back and forth to work for a night. I have a copy of all my bank receipts for the time that we were dating.
Where did you meet him?
He is an old friend of mine's boyfriend's brother.
Yeah.
And we were just introduced one day, and we were friends for about 5 months, and then it went from there.
Did your mother know that you were dating him?
Yes, she did.
Did you think it was a good idea?
He wasn't like a normal 23-year-old. He was more like a 19-year-old. Seemed, and they were friends first.
That's not unusual. So he's 23 going on 19. And your daughter was 15 going on 16.
Yeah.
So you didn't think it was so terrible. Did you know that they were intimate?
Not for a long time, no.
So you took some money from her?
The loan was offered to me. What I did borrow from her, yes. Didn't take.
Well, tell me.
It was offered.
Right. And you took it?
It was offered
It
as
was
a loan.
offered several times, and I did take it. Yes, I borrowed, yes.
Why?
Not $2,000.
How much?
$800.
Well, $800 in one lump sum.
Yes, ma'am.
We're talking about little bits at a time.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
All the withdrawals listed on there, there's only, I think,
one deposit that I made for my birthday on April 8th. All the rest of the withdrawals were not from me, not from me personally using the money, but from him using the money.
You mean using it to go out on a date, maybe?
No, to take it and pay his bills, or to, for instance, I bought him a differential. He needed a differential. I loaned him the $150 as a deposit down on the differential for his...
Does that sound familiar?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I've been self-sufficient since I was 18 years old. I paid all my bills. No. And no, she did not pay no gas, power, or electric bill. She loaned me, which was offered, $800, which I paid back. Now, I don't know where she comes up with this, no.
How much did you have in this account when you started dating?
To start out with, $2,200.
And prior to dating him, had you taken any money out of that account?
No, that account was saved up. I've been saving that money since I was 6 years old to go and buy a car when I was 16 or to go to college.
So what you're telling me is there were no withdrawals made from that account?
None. Zero.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Step up here, please, with your daughter. When did you find out that she was helping him out with money?
The first time I found out about it was his ex-girlfriend left a message on our answering machine telling Kelly that she would never get her $2,000 back, and a few other things she left on. And that was the first time I realized, uh-oh, she's really done it. She's given him some money. And I was afraid she wasn't going to get it back.
And when Mom confronted me, I did lie to her because I was trying to protect him.
When did you break up with him?
When? At the end of August.
Why?
He put his boot through the window of my parents' truck, kicked me in the face with it.
Why?
Lots of fights. We were in the middle of another fight, and it ended up in a domestic dispute.
Did you call the police?
Yes, I did.
In addition to the $2,000 that you say you took out of your account and gave to him, you're suing for $5,000 and the other for medical bills. For what?
During the time that we were together, I contracted a venereal disease, a virus called HPV. There's a letter from my doctor and bills, my medical bills for the last year.
Did you have sexual relations with anyone other than him during this period of time?
No.
What are you laughing about? Why is that a funny question?
No? Just like that? No? No.
Well, if you have some information that she had sexual relations with somebody else, I'll hear you, sir.
She had a sexual relationship with a very close friend of mine.
When?
When? During the time that we were dating. Okay? The money that she loaned me, the $800, okay, yes, I did pay back. This was a doorway to open the account, and once the money had started being removed, the $800 that was loaned to me, then she went ahead and removed more money. Okay, whenever I caught up to this, and I confronted her about this, you know, spending money to go here, go there, I said, Kelly, you can't do that. That's not right.
Show me proof that you paid back the $800.
Show me proof that I borrowed $2,000.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When you fool around with jailbait, you sort of accept the consequences of that, sir.
And later today...
You're not a
like
man.
that.
You're a little weasel.
Because
Your whole family.
Just go. Put him away for 20 years. So.
You know what? You're all going to jail.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kelly Atkinson is suing her former boyfriend, Daniel Cope, for money he took when they were dating. She also claims Daniel gave her a sexually transmitted disease and wants him to pay for her medical bills.
Now, you answered one question that I posed to you, sir, with a different answer. I asked you how you knew that she was having sexual relations with somebody else at the same time she was having sexual relations with you. And you are telling me about $800.
How do I know?
Yes.
Because I drove over to my buddy's house. That's where she'd done spent the night instead of over at my house like she told her mother.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I caught them.
You caught them what?
I caught them in the house. Half dressed.
Does that sound familiar to you?
No, it does not.
Well, would you tell me what he's talking about if you know?
I have no idea.
Well, tell me about it, sir.
What do you want to know about it?
She was supposed to be spending the night with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And?
And?
She wasn't there?
She was not there.
So you went looking for her?
I went looking for her, yes.
Well, I'm making this very easy for you.
Well, thank you.
Good. How much are your medical bills?
So far out of pocket is $895. And I'm going to need many more.
Well, you know, you're partially responsible, madam. So's your mother. In my judgment. You said it. He was 23, going on 19. Probably more like 15. So, he's no genius. Your daughter is 15, going on 16, and clearly she's no genius. You're supposed to be smart enough to put your foot down and say, I don't want you to see this guy because he's too old for you, and I don't think it's appropriate at your age. At age 15, to be dating somebody who's 23 is not appropriate. Maybe when you're 30 and he's 38, it's a different story. But right now, it's not appropriate. That's your job as a mother.
Okay, now whenever Mom did find out about his age and how much we were hanging out together, I was lying to her, again, to try to protect him.
Your mother still says she knew very well that you were dating him and that she gave her tacit approval because she felt that he was immature enough to be almost a contemporary of yours.
And I trusted
Which is
him.
a kind way of saying it.
Very kind.
Very kind. So you bear part of this responsibility. You know. Have you had yourself tested, sir?
I had myself tested, yes.
Good. Do you have the results of the test?
I have what they mail me as a card that says you're okay, fine, that you don't need to call us, you don't need to contact us, that you don't need to come in.
Let me see.
Okay, this does not say nothing, but it's a mailer, all right?
Well, it doesn't say anything. What are you giving it to me for?
That's the only thing that I do have. Okay, if otherwise I'd have been notified, say, you know, I'd have gotten a phone call saying, come in, we need to discuss this.
What made you go here for blood tests, sir?
Because I started a new relationship, and I wanted to get tested. I wanted to make sure that, you know, before I have an intimate relationship with anybody, that I do not have a problem.
Well, this is interesting because this was just done in October.
Yes, ma'am, I have a new relationship.
I heard that already. You sound like a broken record. But you stopped seeing her in August, right?
A year ago.
A year
ago.
Right.
Right, so this doesn't tell me anything because I don't know whether you were tested a year ago and were treated during the course of that year for anything. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She'd been having sex for long before I come around.
And later today,
You're a lying scumbag. Your whole family is that way. Your dad's constantly bails you out. Your whole family is that way.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kelly Atkinson is suing her former boyfriend, Daniel Cope, claiming he gave her a sexually transmitted disease. Daniel says he knows nothing about it.
Mr. Cope, nobody is blameless in this situation. Unfortunately, you are the legal adult and she is the legal minor. And when you fool around with what we used to call, when I was a child, jailbait, you sort of accept the consequences of that, sir. You took out this money. This was your money supposedly for a car,
For
correct?
a car or college, whichever I decided that was more important at the time.
And so far you have medical bills in the amount of $895. I'm giving you a judgment in the amount of $2,895. I'm saying the following to you. You started off your life wrong. You're supposed to be smarter. You're 17 years old. Your mother is supposed to be smarter. Your mother is supposed to be protective. And as far as I'm concerned, this 15-year-old shouldn't have unfettered control over a substantial bank account. It's her money, but she's still a kid.
Right.
Fortunately, what was coming out wasn't money to buy drugs or other things, but it could have been. So you got to be very, very careful and very vigilant as a parent these days. I assume your new girlfriend is over the age of 18.
Yes.
Great. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Back there to your right, please.
And I thought maybe they'd be good for each other. Maybe she'd help him grow up a little bit, and he'd help her grow up a little bit.
And now the next case.
Party's on Lewis versus Lewis. Step forward, please.
Secretary Royce Lewis is suing her 19-year-old stepson, Daniel Lewis, for money she loaned him to buy a stereo when he was 16.
Okay, so that we understand who the cast of characters are in this case. This is your stepson.
Yes.
This is your biological son.
Yes.
Are you still married to his father?
Separated.
Married but separated. Right. Well, a couple of years ago, while you were probably all living together, correct?
Yes.
According to this, you made a loan to these two boys.
Yes.
To go out and buy some stereo equipment. At that time, he was 16.
Yes.
And it was your agreement that when he turned 18, he would pay you back.
Yes.
Turned 18?
Yeah.
What happened?
He never paid me back. The agreement was that when he turned 18, and I didn't ask for interest or anything, and before I gave them both the money, which was cash, I said, this is with the understanding that when you each turn 18 and get your money from your trust account, that you will pay me back the money that I've loaned you. And they both said yes. I said, then go get stereos for your car.
So you got a stereo for your car.
Yes, I did.
And you got one for your car.
Correct.
When did you separate from his father?
About 2.5, maybe 3 months ago.
And it was after that that you filed this lawsuit?
Right. I told him I was going to the time we were together, and he said I couldn't because he's a pastor of a church and it's his son, and I wasn't allowed to. I said he owes me the money and he's not paying it, and you're not doing anything to get it.
Well, but the marriage was already on.
Right.
Going.
No, actually, no, it wasn't.
Well,
but
then I'm going to tell you something. If you threaten to sue your husband's son, that's a good time for marriage to start to go south.
Well, I didn't threaten immediately. I said, somehow something has to happen here. It's not right that he's getting away with all this.
Okay.
Okay. Our agreement, basically there was no agreement. She came up to, I did not ask for the money. I did not ask for anything from her. Me and James were both outside one day. She came right in front of our door. She walked down the stairs and was asking us if we had car stereos and how they worked and all this stuff. And she says, well, do you guys want to go down and get new CD players? And of course, I'm 16 years old. You know, I would love to have a new CD player for my car. So she gave us a blank check, said she told us how much we could spend. Me and James went down, got the same exact CD player. I came home, installed it in my car. Later that night, sitting in my room, she walked through the door and then told me that when I was 18, I could pay her back because I was getting my settlement. Okay?
So what did you say to her at that point?
Actually, I never said anything. I never actually said, okay, yes, I will do this, yes, I won't. But the thing is also, even if I had agreed to that, I moved up to Sacramento shortly before I turned 18. When I turned 18, I never heard nothing. To this very day, she has never verbally asked me for that money.
That is a total lie. His dad has talked himself.
Not
talking about his dad. He said to you.
My dad left her 2 months ago, and that is when this is happening. And she's suing 4 of my dad's friends.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
have fun in jail because that's where you're going.
Miss Lewis, a minor cannot make a contract. When he was 16 years old, he could not have entered into a contract, either oral or written, with you for anything. And there are times when, if you enter into an agreement when you're a minor, and if you ratify it later when you turn 18 or 21, depending upon the jurisdiction, then it can become enforceable. But he did not do that. He did not ratify it when he became 18. You cannot make a contract with a minor who is 16 and expect it to be enforced in a court. This lawsuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. At the back.
You got my
case next, buddy.
Yeah, I've already reported you to Wells
I
Fargo
really
for the
don't care.
TQ
I really don't care.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Beers versus Murphy. Step forward, please.
40-year-old Terry Beers says her daughter, Amy Murphy, broke her eyeglasses during a fight over 2 fish tanks.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 270 on the calendar in the matter of Beers versus Murphy. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, sir.
It's your daughter.
Yes.
Your complaint alleges that your daughter broke your glasses during an altercation that you were having.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to get to the reason why you would sue her for the damage to your glasses, for the new glasses, in a minute. I have a countersuit by you for the destruction of a fish tank and fish and the filter and everything else against your mother. I think you're probably suing the wrong person, because I don't think she destroyed your fish tank, right?
Right.
So let's start at the beginning. How did this tragedy start?
Amy had written to me in May and asked to come and live with us. They wanted to relocate from Vermont.
Who's they?
Amy and Jeff and my grandchildren.
Jeff.
Yes.
And so I allowed them to come in, and we were all getting along just fine, and then Amy decided that she was no longer going to be associated with Jeff, so she kicked him out of my house. Well, 2 weeks went by, and he said that he wasn't going to support his grandchildren, and with my rising utility bills, I asked him to move those fish out of my house.
Okay, we sort of missed a step. When they moved in not only with their children.
Yes.
But with a fish tank.
Big fish tank.
How big?
About as big as this table. One of them was, and then the other one was about this big.
Full of fish?
There were only 4 fish.
Okay. But a big tank?
Big tanks.
Okay. All right. So you decided that the electric bills were too high.
Mm-hmm.
So you told him to get his fish tank out
Just
of the
to
house.
move the fish, and I would take care of the children and Amy.
Okay. What happened? He didn't?
He didn't, no. For about 2 weeks, we all tried to get him to move those fish, and he wouldn't. And then on the night of August 3rd, Edward...
That's your boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am. Unplugged the fish tank. Both of them. Amy discovered that they were unplugged, plugged them back in. Now, I wasn't here at the time.
The 4 fish were still alive at that point?
Yeah.
Big fish, little fish?
Big fish.
Big.
Big fish. She plugged them back in, and Edward kind of got a little upset and started throwing things out the door.
You mean the fish tank out the door?
Just the filters, the pump, and lights.
Wrong. Right?
Right. Right. That's what I said that evening. Wrong.
That he was
If I
wrong.
would have been there, I don't think it would have happened.
So you weren't there when
No,
he
I
threw
was
it.
not.
And then your daughter came in.
Well, she called me at a friend's house to give me grief. And then I went home, and about a half an hour later, Amy comes through my bedroom door just a screeching. And we ended up in my other daughter's bedroom, and we were still screeching at each other. And she just started hitting me.
And your glasses fell off?
They broke off.
They broke off. Where did she hit you?
about the Head and Shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I restrained her on my daughter's bed. And we were screeching a little more. And next thing I know, she pops me in the mouth about 5 or 6 times after that.
Had you ever had that kind of physical altercation with your daughter before, Miss
No.
Beers? The first time?
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
How many kids do you have?
I have 2.
How old are they?
My daughter's going to be 2 in December, and my son's going to be 4 in February.
So you were 16 when your son was born?
Yes.
He's the father of both children?
Yes.
You work?
Yep.
That's a start. What do you do?
Carpentry and fishing, commercial fishing.
You make a living?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Are you married?
No.
Nope.
Stand up here. Why?
I didn't want to rush Amy into a marriage situation, into a full commitment type thing. I want it to be, you know, her decision as well as mine. And being young, I wasn't going to rush her into making a full commitment like that.
What do you think a 2- and a 4-year-old are?
A commitment.
That's a full commitment. You know, a marriage, you can say, I made a mistake, I put erasers on pencils for a reason, I crossed this out and I move on. You can't do that with 2 children. Always amazes me. I'm not from this generation.
From a different time.
Different time. You have to make a mental commitment to get married, but not to have 2 children together.
We want to get married.
What?
It's not that easy.
Why is it not Why is it not that easy?
Because we've had a rough time. I mean, it is difficult making a living, supporting 2 children and paying all the bills myself.
Well, you've been doing it now for 4 years. Why can't you pay $15 and get a marriage license?
Did that bother you?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I think you have to forgive each other.
Just sick and tired of getting hurt. I've been through too much in my life, and I have 2 kids, and I'm trying to do the best I can with them.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Terry Beers is suing her daughter, Amy Murphy, because she broke her eyeglasses during a fight over 2 fish tanks. Amy claims her mother caused the fight, and she only pushed her in self-defense.
Now, Amy.
Yes.
Did you hit your mother?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Because she would not get off me, and I kept on telling her to get off me.
I wasn't on her at that time.
She was quiet.
I'm
now you have
sorry.
to be quiet, Miss Beers. She was on you how, Amy?
She pinned me down to my sister's bed, and she had me locked down.
Well, how did it start?
How did it start?
You came home, you were angry.
Yes, but...
So you walk in the door, you were angry. Tell me what happened.
I went into my mother's room, and I did ask for an explanation.
How did you ask?
I said it with a tone, but I wasn't screaming, though.
Okay.
But Ed, both of these people were drunk at this time, too. And they were screaming at me, and I just come off, and I said, you have lost rights to my grandchildren because of this. And I walked out of the room, and I started to go get some clothes for the kids. Ed came in the room first, and he was hollering at me, and he was in my face hollering at me, and he wouldn't back away from me. And my mother came in the room, and I was going to walk downstairs, and she blocked the doorway and said I wasn't going anywhere, little missy. And Ed had approached me, and my mother was in my face. Both of them were screaming at me, and these 2 people are drunk in front of me, screaming at me, and I was asking them nicely, and then I went to screaming to tell them to get them out of my face, and they wouldn't. I was scared.
So what did you do, Amy?
What did I do?
Amy, look at me. Look at me and tell me what you did.
I went towards the doorway, and my mother blocked the door, and I backed up, and she got in my face some more.
And you pushed her?
Yes, I pushed her away from me, but it was a push, just get away from me, please. And she pushed me back. I pushed her, she pushed me back, and I ended up on the bed, and she pinned me there. And I kept on telling her to get off me. I was screaming. I was crying for her to get off me. I have 2 bars in my back, and she was hurting me. And through everything that I've been through in my life, this woman did not deserve to do that to me.
Everybody was hot, Amy?
Yes, everyone was. Everyone was angry.
And you were hot over a fish tank?
It wasn't really the fish tank. It was the point behind it.
Which was?
Was why he did that to my things. I mean...
Yeah, he was absolutely wrong. But what did that have to do with your mother?
What did it have to do with my mother?
Yeah,
I called her up on the phone. She was at a friend's house, and she was trying to warn me all along that Ed was going to get angry and he was going to do something, but I never knew what he was going to do. I never, immediately thought, oh, that means he's going to ruin my fish stuff. I mean, I never knew that was he's going to do it. My mom tried warning me, and that's what I was angry about. And she just stood right by his side like it was no big deal at all.
No, well, she tried to warn you, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
I certainly am not condoning him destroying property that belonged to you. Was your property?
Mine.
Was yours?
It was a family project. The kids helped me put it together, and they were all involved in it. And
yeah, it was
we
an
came back,
absolutely
the kids
wrong thing
saw
to do.
this. The kids saw that.
What happened to the fish?
Well, eventually they were killed. They were dumped out on the ground. The tank was smashed.
And if they waited one more day, we would have found...
Who did that?
Ed and Harold.
And I would like to submit that another reason their electricity bill was so high is because Harold put a new air conditioner in his little trailer, and they had 15 things all plugged into one outlet. Of course your electricity bill is going to go right up.
Jeff, that's really not particularly relevant.
Okay.
Your last name, sir?
Hutchinson.
They may sue you for this fish tank.
Right.
Right? But this lawsuit is against your mother. The countersuit is against your mother. She didn't destroy your fish tank. You had no reason to touch their property.
Exactly.
Period. I don't care what it is. First of all, sir, how long have you 2 been together?
5 years.
What you do, and I don't know whether you're in for the long haul or the short haul, that's up to her.
Long haul.
Long haul? Anybody that would do such a thing, that would have that kind of temper, Miss Beers, I would think about making it a long-term commitment.
Well, we're working on it.
You got to usually start with them when they're about 3.
Oh, well, I know.
Right? So, he's past 3. But you see, Ed, what you did affected her relationship with her daughter. My sense is that you had a baby when you were 16, became pregnant when you were 15. There was probably a lot of turmoil in your house. Is that a fair statement? Was your mother supportive of you?
No.
Well, she let you move back into the house. How could you say that
She
wasn't
did, but
supportive?
she threw me out when I was 16 years old, out onto the street, packed my sister's things. I had nowhere to go.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You only have one mother. She may not be perfect. And if she's made mistakes as a mother, you're supposed to forgive her. Want to give her a hug? Please.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Terry Beers and her daughter, Amy Murphy, are in court after an argument turned violent, leaving Terry with broken eyeglasses. Amy says she was only defending herself after her mother started the fight.
How long were you estranged from your mother?
Oh, I'd say not very long.
Year?
No, it wasn't that long.
Wow. Okay.
They were still in Maine when my first grandchild was born.
Amy, what I'm trying to say is, other people come and go in your life. That's just reality. But you may get angry with your mother. She may get angry with you. You may have arguments, whatever. But you can usually count on your mother. Bottom line, when all is said and done, more than you can count on anybody else in your whole life. You can count on your mother. Now, what you did, sir, was interfere with that. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
I am.
Good. And you can sit down. That was a good thing to say, so I can't even say anything to you. You are ashamed of yourself. You broke your mother's glasses.
Yes, I did.
It's a shame, Mrs. Beers, that you came to court with your daughter. I'm surprised that you did. You have a right to. Maybe what you needed was sort of a catharsis to get it all out. Mm-hmm. Maybe. Maybe that's why you're here. I think you have to forgive each other. Amy, you're 20 years old. 20 years old is hardly cooked for a human being. And you may have lots of anger with your mother. She may have a lot of disappointment with you over, the way things turned out. But eventually it'll work itself out if you let it.
Just sick and tired of getting hurt. I've been through too much in my life, and I have 2 kids, and I'm trying to do the best I can with them.
We were trying to start over.
This could not.
Well, Amy, it's never too late to give it a shot with your mom. So you buy her new glasses. New glasses, what, $200? So that you have.
Thank you.
But Amy, you have 2 kids. And you have parents, Jeff?
Yeah, the kids are with my parents right now, and we haven't seen them since this happened.
Haven't seen the children?
Nope.
Why?
Because I've been busy every day working, and we really haven't been able to afford to go back and forth from Vermont, and we want our kids back as soon as we can.
So they're
now
living with your parents?
we have a stable environment, yes.
So they're living with your parents?
Yeah. They're in their custody. I placed custody of the children with my parents.
It's the safest thing to do for them.
At the time, that wasn't what it was. It was to hurt you.
What? I don't
This
understand.
is what Amy came home and told me, that he was taking the kids away to hurt Amy because he wouldn't take her back.
Well, they have clearly had some difficulty.
This is true.
Judge Judy, we agreed together to give custody of the kids to my parents, and it was a decision. We decided to take the kids out of Ed and Terry's house because it was not a fit environment for our children.
Well, Jeff, I don't necessarily disagree with you, because I don't think that the kind of environment where you have this kind of hostility is a good place for children. It's a good thing for children to be surrounded by the love and support of grandparents. Grandparents are nice to children. They do all the nice things for kids and don't usually have any of the downside, discipline, and that sort of stuff. But bottom line is, if you are 2 reasonable people, you're going to have to make a solid home for yourselves so that you can take care of your children, because it's not fair for children to bounce around from one home to another home, to your home, to not see you for weeks at a time. Children don't understand that, especially when they're 2 and 4 years old. How old are you?
28 today.
Oh, well, we share a birthday.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Seems to me it's time for you 2 kids to really grow up and understand that you made these 2 babies, and it's your responsibility to grow up and make a home for them. I also want you to think, Amy, that you only have one mother. She may not be perfect. She may have made some tremendous mistakes. You made mistakes. And let's discount Ed. Ed is not really part of your life. She's part of your life. And if she's made mistakes as a mother, you're supposed to forgive her. Mothers are supposed to have unconditional love for their children. And children, as they get older, are supposed to forgive the frailties of a parent, because parents aren't perfect. Your kids will benefit from loving 2 sets of grandparents. All right? Okay. I'm going to buy your mother some new glasses. Want to give her a hug? Please. Huh? Not yet?
Nope. Not ready to yet.
Will you think about it? Please?
Yep.
Okay. Good luck.
Excuse you. You may step out. Out the back door.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
On Ramos versus Taylor. Step forward, please.
30-year-old Diana Ramos says she met mortgage broker Mark Taylor in a nightclub and later loaned him money, which he never repaid.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Excuse me.
They don't care. Judges number 179 on the calendar in the matter of Ramos versus Taylor.
I care, Bird.
Okay. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
All right, Miss Ramos, for some reason that I don't understand that you're going to tell me, you lent this man some money.
Yes, ma'am.
You say you have a note to prove it.
Yes, I do.
He says he paid you.
No, he hasn't.
And that he can prove it. So first, Miss Ramos, you want to tell me why you lent him money in the first place, how much you lent him, and when he was supposed to pay you back.
I loaned him $700.
When?
This was in May.
Why?
I felt sorry for him.
Why?
Because he told me that he needed money to pay rent.
Well, how long had you known him before you gave him the $700?
I met him earlier that month.
Where?
At a bar.
Did you, other than just meeting him at the bar, did you become friends? Did you date?
Yes, friends.
Just friends?
Mm-hmm.
From the time you met him at the bar until the time you gave him the $700, how many times did you see him?
Quite a few times.
2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times?
Probably about 10 times.
Where did you see him? I'm trying to figure out why you would lend him $700.
Where did I see him?
Yeah.
I would call him, and then we made arrangements to for my mortgage loan.
Is that your business, sir?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
You're a mortgage broker?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been a mortgage broker?
2.5 years.
How many mortgages have you brokered?
Probably, on an estimate, if the market's doing good, about 10 to 15 a month, if I'm lucky.
And you've been lucky?
Yeah.
Yeah? So what'd you need $700 for from her?
Well, what happened, basically, is I met her and a friend at a bar, okay? I was talking to the friend at first, and then I told her, I said, I'm not going to be disrespectful. I'd like to talk to you, but no dice. Well, this continued. We called each other for lunch. We seen each other for lunch, and she's kicking it with me and everything. And
She's what?
She's hanging out with me. You know, we went to lunch together. We were sitting there talking.
Did you say she's kicking it?
Yeah, that's just what she's doing. So, you know, to make a long story short, we got to talking about some personal things, and we made an agreement. She said she didn't have to go back to work. We went to the house. We spent the night with each other, okay? It's not 10 or 15 times. She's at my house every day. She took me to work every day. So what was happening is during this time, I left one company to start another one. They were having some problems with their payroll, so I asked her to do me a favor. She did it, and I said, no problem, I would pay her back. She's saying I never gave her any money. I did give her a form of $200 in cash when they had paid me, okay? During this time...
Prove it.
Oh, well, you know, she knows I gave it to her, and I'm not going to fight that. But during this time, I made an agreement with her. I told her, I said, well, Diana, check this out. I have a compensation agreement. I could lower my fees and what I'm going to charge you for the loan. And if you take that form of payment that way, you know, then I won't owe you anything. She agreed to it. Okay, then the holiday kicked off. 4th of July, she calls me up, 911 on my pager. I call her back. So she's telling me that her daughter, okay, who was leaving to go to San Antonio, had told her boyfriend about us and everything. So the boyfriend's on the phone, and he's raising sand and this, that, and the other. So I asked her, you know,
kicking in.
Basically.
Just a second, let me get this. I like to learn something new every day, sir. Kicking in.
Kicking it.
Kicking it.
Kicking it.
Kicking it.
Kicking it. And raising sand.
Yeah.
Raising sand. In English.
In other words, he's being very hostile.
Order.
Okay? He's being very hostile about this situation that he's been told about me and her being together and sleeping with each other. So I asked her,
what do you want me to do? And she said, well, I don't want you to tell him. I said, you know that's going to cost you. Okay, she agreed to it. I said, you know that's going to cost you to keep my mouth shut, because I was getting tired of being the number 2 guy.
Let me try to understand this in English. You say that the loan that she made to you of $700 was forgiven by her because you agreed to, just don't shake your head or anything, I'm just trying to understand this, because you agreed to keep your mouth shut and not tell her boyfriend that you had slept with her.
Exactly.
Exactly! Mr. Taylor, kicking it, I didn't understand. Raising sand?
Raising sand.
Raising sand, I don't understand. But I want to ask you if you understand the following phrase. Did you ever hear this phrase? Blackmail.
No, I wasn't blackmailing her. Not at all, because she asked me not to tell him. When she called me, I asked her what was this about. She said, Jennifer told John
Gotcha, I understand
what's going
that.
on. Okay, so I wasn't blackmailing anyone.
Somebody told the boyfriend, according to you, I'm not even going to ask you if this is true, but somebody told the boyfriend, she asked you not to confirm that with the boyfriend.
Yeah.
And you said, I'll do it. I'll tell him it's not true if you forgive this loan.
It wasn't in part of the loan. When I said you're going to pay for that, it had nothing to do with,
well,
with
I
the
don't
loan
understand. What is
part
the
of
pay? Are you going to pay for this? What did that mean?
In other words, what I meant to her, she was going to pay for it, is that we were going to have a long talk about me having to, you know, bow down and not tell him what really was going on. Because the thing about it was, I felt like I was going to pay for it, because when I seen him...
Were you, just a second, Mr. Taylor, were you hurt and offended, sir?
Yeah, I was.
Were you mortally wounded?
No.
You don't look as if you were mortally wounded, sir.
Oh, I wasn't?
It doesn't appear to me as if you were mortally wounded, sir. So let me understand this. You had, according to you, an evening of frolic with the plaintiff.
It was more
Plus,
than an evening.
Let's say 2 evenings? Let's
No,
say 5 evenings.
every night for the last
Every
3
night.
weeks.
You had every night of frolic with the plaintiff.
Yeah.
And she had every night of frolic with you.
There you go.
Good. And you have her $700.
No. Wrong.
Oh, yeah?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He wanted a relationship with me. And I didn't want anything to do with him.
You're right. It takes 2 to tango. She had to do something.
And later today,
I don't think that it's right for anybody to slash anybody's tires. So if you did that, that was really, really wrong. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Very, very bad.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mortgage broker Mark Taylor claims Diana Ramos is angry that he broke off their secret affair. Diana says she just wants her money back.
Did he give you the $200?
No.
Did he give you any money?
Yes.
How much?
100.
Okay. Could you prove that you gave her more than $100, sir?
No, because at the time...
All right, so let's say you now owe her $600.
That's not what the case was.
Just a second. How much money did you pay her back?
I gave her $100 in cash, and then I gave her on 2 occasions $50. So it's totaling to $200, and she knows it because she took me to cash the checks when I gave it to her.
Assuming that that's true, that you gave her $200, where's the other 5?
I agreed to, as a part of this mortgage loan, because I have a compensation agreement on her, as well as a good faith estimate that was provided, and a mortgage origination statement. And I said, look, I'll deduct the difference of the money of what I owe you off the fees. I didn't hear anything else about it.
Did you agree to it? Did you agree to that?
No.
Did you buy this house?
No.
She's still
You didn't buy the house?
No, I didn't agree to anything.
Well, so what did she get from it, sir?
It's to be determined.
Just a second. She didn't buy the house. She didn't use the mortgage.
She's still pending. It's to be determined. She was purchasing a new home. All I was doing was creating the financing. She knew that she needed to go out and find a home. And I have the compensation agreement that's still good on you to the 3rd of October right here, that this is what was going to be performed up until those calendar days.
Right now, she didn't do anything. She didn't agree to anything. You owe her the money, sir. Did you ever hear the expression? You heard kicking,
Sanding, what? Sanding?
Raising sand.
Raising sand, right?
She
Did you ever
agreed to
hear,
that.
don't mix business with pleasure?
Of
Did you ever
course.
hear that? So, don't mix business with pleasure. So, you borrowed money from somebody as a friend because you were between paychecks. And then you wanted to have a sort of work it off on this thing,
No.
on this agreement that you had.
I told her she could take that or I would pay her back. And even
Well,
on the promissory note, asked her to provide a promissory note to you because I told her that if I didn't agree to pay her by the 17th of July, that we would make arrangements to have it settled. I did not hear from Mrs. Ramos the next day.
You acknowledged, sir, that you had to sign a promissory note.
Right, but...
That you signed it. Let me see the note.
She had
Here. Let me see the note, please. You were supposed to pay her, sir, half by the 17th of July. Did you pay her half?
Correct. No.
Good. Then you defaulted.
That's because she had made other arrangements with me prior to that date.
I don't believe you.
Okay. Well,
I don't believe you.
ask
I
her.
don't believe you. I don't believe you. And I don't believe you. I
Then
think
when I was served the paper, she documented on there that she failed to call me. That is not what the case was. She called my place of employment and personally put this through someone else. I called her place of employment, told them, look, we're having a personal problem over something. I would like for her
it's
not
not a personal problem, sir. She lent you $700. You were supposed to pay for it 2.5 months ago. You didn't pay for it. And then you started to do a tap dance. A, you said, I won't tell your boyfriend, but it's going to cost you.
No, that
B,
wasn't
that's
the
according to
case.
you. You said that 2 seconds ago, sir.
Yeah.
B, we'll work it out in this deal. I'll take less in my commission. I'll take less in my commission than I would ordinarily charge you, and we'll call it even. As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Taylor, if a friend lends you $700 in your time of need, you ought to do this mortgage agreement for no commission.
No.
No, listen to me, sir. For nothing. If you were in a bind, if you were in a bind, as you were, I'm sure that you wouldn't go and ask this lady for money if you weren't really in a bind. And she helped you.
That's not how that went off.
It would seem to me, that's what you said. You said I was between checks,
Yeah,
and I needed some help.
She volunteered to do it.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. Get him out of here.
Parties are excused. Step out.
You got your money back, but you know you was doing me and doing John at the same time. Ask him. Bring him down here. He'll tell you. John, if you get to see this, buddy, like I told you in Texaco, been there, done that, got the T-shirt. Have a good one.
And now the next case.
All parties on Taylor versus Lee. Step forward, please.
19-year-old Crystal Taylor is suing her ex-boyfriend Fred Lee because he didn't pay his phone bill. He says Crystal slashed his tires.
This used to be your boyfriend.
Yes, it did.
That's past tense.
Yes, it's past.
Your complaint says you let him put a phone in your name.
Yes.
Big mistake.
I know now.
He didn't pay the bill?
No, he didn't. He didn't pay a couple of bills.
And the total on that phone is now?
$967 and some change.
And you say?
I intended on paying the phone bill, but she came up to my job and slashed 3 of my tires. So that's when I decided not to pay the bill, because the three tires that she slashed, the 3 tires that she slashed came up to $340 a piece, which was over $1,200.
I read that in your answer, that you paid $350 a piece for tires.
Why didn't you get some cheaper ones?
Hey, don't speak to him.
Okay.
Bird, I haven't bought tires in a while, and I know about inflation. Did you ever hear of tires that cost $350 a piece?
Not on any vehicle I've ever driven.
What kind of car is it that you drive, sir?
An Acura Legend Coupe, a very expensive car, and the wheels are very expensive too.
You mean, when did you buy these tires, sir?
May 6th.
Why didn't you pay the phone bill instead of buying the tires?
Exactly.
Shut! Hey!
Okay.
Do I look like I need help? I would suggest you be quiet.
Okay, I'm sorry.
If you're winning, you're supposed to be quiet.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
If you owe somebody, you can find yourself a 1965 VW Bug with $50 tires and make sure that your obligations are paid for.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 19-year-old Crystal Taylor is suing her ex-boyfriend Fred Lee because he didn't pay his phone bill. He says Crystal slashed his tires.
Why didn't you pay the phone bill instead of buying $350 tires for your Acura?
The phone bill wasn't due at that time.
Yeah, oh.
When the phone bill came...
No, just a second. The phone bill was over an extended period of time, Mr. Lee. Are you telling me that you paid the phone bill each month and that it was 1 month that it was $967?
No, actually...
No. Let me see the phone bills. How many times did you pay the phone bill, sir?
I paid the phone bill a couple of times.
How many is a couple?
I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times.
Let me see proof
I don't
of
have the
it.
exact
Let me
proof.
see you. Let me see your proof.
At all.
All right.
Basically, I went tit for tat. The bill came, she slashed my tires. I felt we were even.
Let me explain something to you, sir.
Okay.
Let's talk about her bill, her April bill.
Okay.
The prior balance that you owed in April was $80.
Yeah.
Then you had a Pacific Bell charge for $355.21. That's in April. In June, sir, the current charges on your phone were $163.
Okay.
But the total due was $967.90, with a prior unpaid balance of $804.58. So it doesn't look to me as if you ever paid this bill. Ever. Now, you never paid the bill.
I was going to pay the bill.
Listen, did you ever hear the expression, shoulda, woulda, coulda?
Yeah.
I should have done that. I
She
could have
shouldn't have
done
slashed my tires.
Just a second. Just a second. Did you see her slash your tires?
I have a witness.
Did you see her slash your tires?
I was at work doing my job.
Listen, I don't think that it's right for anybody to slash anybody's tires.
Especially at the amount that I paid.
Absolutely right. Now, because that would be, if you did that, if you did that,
She did.
if you did that, it would be taking the law in your own hands.
Which she
Do you
did.
Hey, so if you did that, that was really, really wrong to slash his $350 a piece tires that he bought instead of paying the phone bill, which is in your name. That would have been a very, very bad thing to do. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Very, very bad. But he doesn't have any proof that you did that. He thinks that you did that, but he doesn't have any proof.
Why would I tell you I slashed your tires?
You told me.
I didn't tell you that.
I don't believe
and
that.
we're not in court for them tires. We're not in court for that.
Miss Taylor,
You will be.
if you open your mouth again, you're going to be a very unhappy person.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
It was very bad of you to buy 3 new tires when you had this outstanding bill, sir.
I had to drive my car. I had to get back and forth to work.
Oh.
I had to buy them.
Well, I want to tell you something, sir. I guarantee you, whatever work you do, I make more money than you do, and I don't drive an Acura with $350 a piece tires. So if you owe somebody for a phone bill that's in their name, you can find yourself a 1965 VW Bug, drive it around, right, with $50 tires, and make sure that your obligations are paid for. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $967. Thank you very much. That's
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next...
Mrs. Daisy, step forward, please.
23-year-old Scott Azada is suing his ex-girlfriend and mother of his child, Karen Dacey, after she kicked and damaged his car during an argument.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 274 on the calendar in the matter of Asada versus Dacey. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat.
Well, I have really two complaints here. One is your complaint, sir, against her. You're suing her because you say she purposely kicked your car, causing damage to it.
Yes.
And I have your complaint against him for several $1,000s. I think you're suing for $3,000 because you say he assaulted you.
Yes.
From what I gather from these papers, you two children have a child.
Yes.
And how old is this child?
She's 16 months.
How old are you?
23.
And how old were you when you had this baby?
It was right after my 16th birthday.
Were you
Or
living
right
at
after my 17th birthday. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Were you living at home then?
I was living with him, and then like about 2 weeks before I had the baby, I was getting no support from him, so I moved back in with my mom to get some support. Then right after I had the baby, then I moved back in with him.
You live at home?
Yes, I moved back there about 4 months ago.
So you live with your mother?
Yes.
And father?
No.
Just with your mother?
Yes.
Actually, I took responsibility for her for 3 years when her mother didn't want responsibility of her anymore, gave up custody of her, and I basically took her in for 3 years. When she was 9 months pregnant, her mother said that she didn't want her to move back home. She said that there was shelters out there that would take care of a teenage mother.
What'd you have problems with your mom about?
Just normal rebellious. I wanted to go out. She wanted me.
You have a
not
drug
go out.
problem?
No.
Never?
No.
You hesitated for a minute.
I have done, yes, I have done drugs before in the past.
Know that. And you, sir?
Drug problem? No.
Yeah. Have you done any drugs?
No.
Was she doing drugs when she was living with you?
Yes, she was smoking marijuana.
Mm-hmm. What about when she was pregnant?
I don't believe so. Not that I can remember.
What
no.
about after the baby was born?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, you separated, and then this incident occurred with your car. You want to tell me your version of it, sir?
Well, I was going to pick up a friend which lives close by to where she lives, and on the way back, we happened to see her walking with my daughter. So I stopped to, see my daughter. And
What time was this, sir?
It was about 9:45 p.m. She lives in a kind of a bad neighborhood. I was concerned for the welfare of my child. She said that she never walks the baby at that time, but obviously she does. When she came over to us, she asked us where we were going. I said we were going to go out. And she spit on us. She spit on me and him through my car window.
Let's take this step by step. And I want you to understand something. I'm very, very smart.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they keep me here. Not because I'm gorgeous. Right, Bird?
Well, that's a good enough reason, Judge.
I stopped my car. She came over to where my car was. I opened the door to the car, got out, saw my daughter.
What did you say to her?
I said, what are you doing with the baby out at this time at night?
And what? Okay, so right away we got a problem. You're saying to her, what are you doing outside with the baby? And what did she say to you?
She said that she was going to call me at a payphone across the street.
That was her answer?
Mm-hmm.
So far, is that correct?
No.
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 So then what happened?
So then after I, said goodbye to my daughter, I tried to leave. I got into my car. She put the baby stroller in front of my car door so I could not shut it. So I calmly got out and, moved the stroller away, shut my door. She said, where are you going? Going out. She spit on us. And then when I was pulling out, she started kicking my car.
What kind of car was this?
It's a Chevy Cavalier.
Okay, and I assume you have pictures to show me.
Yes.
Could I see them, please?
I also have an estimate.
I'll see that too. Okay. Now let's hear your version of the events and what you say happened on that evening.
Okay, normally I don't take my daughter out that late, but she was still up. I was going to get a treat for us from the store, about 200 feet from my apartment door to the Circle K across the street, okay? Walked to the store, got my things, was halfway across the street from the store and my apartment complex when I see him drive by. He makes a U-turn, turns into my apartment complex, and gets out and says, "What are you doing with my daughter out this late?" Blah, blah, blah. Just starts totally harassing me. Yeah, I said, "I'm not doing this in front of my daughter." So I start walking away. That's when he grabs me by my hair. I didn't know he was coming, you know, because it was all quiet. He just grabs me by my hair and proceeds to just grab me by my arm, like kind of drag me on the ground. I skinned my knee. Then I got up, started to leave again. He kicks me in the stomach. I lose my wind, you know, I gather myself up, and then by then I grab the stroller, start running from my apartment. I yell back, "I am calling the police. You're not getting away with this one." He yells, "I have 2 witnesses that say I didn't touch you." Okay, the whole time this was happening, this guy over here sitting in the chair, he was laughing. He sees a girl getting beat up. He's laughing, okay?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm telling you, the only one that I feel sorry for in this situation is this 18-month-old baby who happens to have 2 morons for parents.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Scott Azada is suing the mother of his child, 18-year-old Karen Dacey, claiming she kicked and damaged his car during an argument. Karen says Scott is abusive towards her and denies kicking his car.
So did you go up and call the police?
Yes, my mom was just going to bed, whatever. She said, you know, "Karen, you know, I really don't want to deal with this tonight." So she asked me to make the phone call from across the street at the Circle K. I have a police report. They came out and...
You mean your mother told you, "Don't call from my house, go across the street"? Is that what your mother told you? I'm asking you a question. Your mother told you, "Don't call from the house."
She didn't say don't. I could. She didn't... I told her I was going to call across the street. No, she didn't say. She was just saying, you know, why do we have to deal with this? Why does this always have to happen? You know, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, just, you know, I was mad. I was like, just forget about it. I'll just call from across the street. I just don't want to bring her into any more. I've had so many problems with him. Everybody has to witness it around me. That's why she's here. I lost my job because she didn't want to witness this anymore. Yes.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Teresa Garner.
You said she was your nanny for a while. Do you mean she was your babysitter?
She was a babysitter. I have 3 children. I met Karen through Scott. He used to work at the mall that we have a plant rental and maintenance company, and we did the plants. I met Scott there. After Michelle was born, she didn't want to go back to work at Panda Express, a little fast food place, so I gave her a job where she could have the baby there.
Where she could have the baby at your place of business?
Right, where she was taking care of my kid, she could have the baby. Several times, Your Honor, she's come over crying. I took the baby away from these 2 in one incident because they're fighting all the time in front of my house. I told him neither one of them could have the baby. When they were acting like that, he had her outside, was trying to push her in the car, same thing, pulling her hair, calling her names. The verbal abuse went on forever. Little codes on her beeper, 187, which I guess is murder or something, and all this other kind of junk.
Have you ever seen him put his hands on her?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Sit down.
Thank you.
May I say something?
Absolutely. Step up here. Tell me your name.
Kevin Meimersdorf. When this occurred that night, also when she was all trying to get him away from the car to tell him, like wanting to talk to him privately, and he was like, "No, I got these witnesses. You can say whatever you have to say right here by the car."
You think that that's helpful to him?
Well,
what you just told me?
Well, yeah. I'd like
You think that that's helpful?
Yeah.
I got a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
Where were you going?
We're going to my brother's house to pick him up.
And where does he live?
He lives on Chop and Boulder.
And how far is that from where the defendant lives?
I'd say maybe a quarter mile, if that.
Mm-hmm. And is there another way of getting there other than passing by the front of her apartment complex?
There is. Yes, there is. Yes,
Good.
there is.
So you could have gone a different route.
Right.
Who was driving?
He was.
So yet he chose to drive by her apartment complex. Right?
Right.
And when he got out of the car, the first thing he said to her is, "What are you doing outside at 8:45 with the baby?"
Right.
But he didn't say it in that kind of tone, did he?
No.
No.
No. I mean, well, he just, exactly the tone what you just said. What
Oh,
are
you
you
think
doing?
so? Is that what you remember, sir? Is that as true as everything else
Yes,
that you're going
ma'am.
to tell me today?
Yes,
That in a very calm tone, he said to her, "Why are you out with the baby at 8:45?" Is that the tone?
Well, it might have been a little bit, you know, a little bit more higher than that. I mean, you know, definitely.
Might
I mean,
have been,
not at a soft tone, but I mean, he's like, what are you doing at this late at night, basically at 9:30 at night, you know, in this neighborhood?
And when he said that to her, sir, was there any profanity dotting his words? Like, did he say, "What the blank are you doing blank out at this blank hour"? Does that sound, ring a bell?
No, ma'am.
So far, I'm not getting the ring of truth from you, sir.
You're getting everything, all the truth.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because it does, I mean, I'm not saying she's terrific.
Right.
Because I'm telling you, she's not terrific.
Right.
Right? And I'm telling you, the only one that I feel sorry for in this situation is this 18-month-old baby, who happens to have two morons for parents, right? Her, because she doesn't know whether she's here or there or where she's going to be or what she's going to do or anything else. She's a baby. And you, who enjoy a reasonable order of visitation from 2 in the afternoon till 8 o'clock at night, 4 days a week.
I haven't been able to enjoy it because I haven't been getting my visitation.
Well, then you go to court, sir, and you deal with it.
I am. I'm in the process of doing that.
Then that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to go around where she's living and confront her.
Oh, but that was not my main priority to go over there.
I didn't ask you whether it was your main priority. It shouldn't have been any priority. What you do is, if you've had periods of domestic violence and negative interaction with her, you stay away from her.
I've never, but she comes to my work also and harasses me there.
Just a second. I don't doubt that she does that.
And calls my house and comes by my house.
Listen to me. I don't doubt that she does that. Because I think she's a flake. I do.
She is.
I believe she's a flake. This lady knows she's a flake, right?
Young.
Young.
Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Flaky, young, too young to have an 18, to
That's
be
right.
responsible for an 18-month-old baby.
I agree.
There's no question about that. There is also no question in my mind, sir, that this evening wasn't as you have indicated to me, that you were just driving by to go pick up a friend and all of a sudden you saw her. You went by her apartment complex and it was the wrong thing to do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you've taken drugs in the last 6 to 9 months, the hair follicle test will establish it. And if you wish to go, we will make arrangements for you to go immediately.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Scott Azada claims the mother of his child, Karen Dacey, kicked his car. Karen says she has a restraining order because Scott is abusive.
Mr. Rizzuto, you play with fire, you're going to get burned. You screw around with a teenager and make a baby with her, and that doesn't mean that your life's going to be easy. It's going to be harder. You have a child, and if you think that she's incapable of taking care of this child, and you may be right, and you may be a more appropriate custodial parent, the way to deal with it is through the court, not in the street at 9:45.
I feel, you know, I'm concerned about the welfare of my daughter. That is the main
Then, sir,
priority
you have
here.
to deal with that through the courts.
I've been dealing with it for 5 months and I haven't got one bit of satisfaction. I haven't even got a court date yet.
The court system didn't make you a baby. Judge didn't get in there that night. Right? You did. And you were old enough to have known better.
Yes.
You were, in the eyes of the law, an adult. She was a minor in the eyes of the law. So, when you went to the police, did they arrest him?
No, he was long gone.
And you, sir, did you make a police report?
No, I kind of just went home because I didn't want to deal with her anymore.
Did you ever pull her hair?
No.
Never?
No.
You mean she's lying when she says she saw you pull her hair?
She's also lying about her taking my child. She's never, I don't even trust her with my child over there because she smokes just as much dope as she does.
Can I say something in my defense? No,
I don't think she's capable of taking care of her own kids.
It's not necessary. It's not necessary. Well, I think that you two young people better decide that you're going to straighten up your lives because you made a baby, and the baby is the only innocent in this situation.
This is a picture of what looks exactly like a cigarette burn, or...
And I've also...
Would you let her finish?
On my daughter, when she came home from visiting with him, I changed her diaper and into her pajamas right away, and I noticed this. He smokes, his whole family smokes, okay? And about the drugs and smoking, whatever, I have not even done any drugs since I've been with him. And the
Madam,
reason why
let me tell you something. A, he never burned your baby with a cigarette. Never happened. You could have a picture there, you could have 20 pictures there. I'm telling you, I've been in this business for a quarter of a century. This man never purposefully injured that child, nor did he permit anybody else to purposefully injure that child. Now, he may have done lots of negative things to you, but he never purposely hurt his daughter. So you may be able to convince some other family court judge or some other moron that he did with the picture that you're going to show him. But I'm telling you, he never purposely hurt your daughter.
How would you know that?
How would I know it? Because I'm very smart. And I'm smarter than you'll be if you live to be 500. And I'm also prepared to tell you that you do smoke dope, and you have smoked dope more recently than from the time you first met him. And if I sent you today to have a hair follicle test, I guarantee you that that hair follicle test would bear me out. And if you are willing to go, we will make the arrangements for you to go for a hair follicle test, because the hair follicle test will establish when the last time, if you've smoked drugs or taken drugs in the last 6 to 9 months, the hair follicle test will establish it. And if you wish to go, we will make arrangements for you to go immediately.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Would you like me to make the arrangements right now, and I can have a hair follicle test done right now?
All I have to say to that is, not unless he's getting one. This guy has done more than marijuana.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Why am I going to show something it was less than 6 months ago, because me and him only broke up 3.5 months ago. Why am I going to show what is wrong with me or whatever if this guy's sitting here, oh, I don't do drugs. This guy is the king of selling drugs, doing drugs, whatever.
Listen to me.
So why do we care about what I'm doing?
Why? There's a very easy answer to that question, madam. Because right now you are the primary custodial...
What I've done.
Hey! Right now you are the primary custodial parent of an 18-month-old child. That's why it's more important. And so I asked you a simple question. I said, do you want me to make arrangements for you to go for a hair follicle test? Your answer was no. Good. This is the judgment of the court. The judgment of the court is as follows. I am awarding the plaintiff $585 to fix his car. I am awarding the defendant $585 for the assault. That's a wash. Get out of here.
All these are excused. Step out. You have my pictures and stuff? You'll get them.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã quay trở lại với channel tôi vẽ tranh trên kênh của mình. Và hôm nay thì mình sẽ cùng một người đã hoàn thành bức tranh hình ảnh về một chiếc cốc ở trên đầu có rất là nhiều những bông hoa. Các bạn cùng mình theo dõi hết video để biết cách mình tô màu cho bức tranh này nhé. Và đây là bức tranh của mình ngày hôm nay nha các bạn. Mình sẽ sử dụng được cái bộ bút chì màu để hoàn thành cho bức tranh của mình ngày hôm nay nha mọi người. Và đây là bộ bút chì màu của mình nha các bạn. Và đây là hình ảnh về chiếc cốc cùng với có rất là nhiều những bông hoa ở trên. Mình sẽ sử dụng đến phần màu xanh để tô cho phần những chiếc lá ở trên phần chiếc cốc này các bạn nhé. Và đây là phần chiếc lá cho những cái phần chiếc cốc của mình ngày hôm nay. Và tiếp theo và đây là phần chiếc lá cuối cùng sẽ được mình tô với màu sắc đó là màu xanh các bạn nhé. Và mình đã tô màu xong cho hình những chiếc lá này rồi nha. Tiếp tục thì mình sẽ sử dụng đến màu tím để tô cho hình những bông hoa này. Ở đây mình sẽ tô một chút màu vàng cho phần nhị hoa nhé. Và đây là phần một chút màu vàng cho phần nhị hoa và màu tím cho phần cánh hoa nha các bạn. Và tiếp theo thì mình sẽ sử dụng đến màu đỏ để tô cho cái phần lưỡi này nha. Phần chiếc thìa thì mình sẽ tô màu vàng các bạn nhé. Và hình ảnh của chiếc cốc thì mình sẽ tô màu nâu. Mình sẽ tô màu nâu cho phần chiếc cốc này của mình nha các bạn. Đây là phần chân nhé. Cốc của mình thì có chân này, có tay này, có những cái đặc điểm ở trên khuôn mặt như là mắt này, miệng này. Ở đây là phần chiếc cốc. Đây là phần tay nhé. Và mình sẽ tô lần lượt cho hết cái phần chiếc cốc này các bạn nha, với màu sắc đó là màu nâu. Và mình đã hoàn thành xong bức tranh của mình ngày hôm nay rồi các bạn nhé. Và đây là bức tranh của mình ngày hôm nay nha các bạn. Các bạn có thể thấy ở trên tay của mình là bức tranh hình ảnh một chiếc cốc cùng với những bông hoa ở trên này được mình hoàn thành bởi rất là nhiều các phân loại màu sắc khác nhau. Các bạn có thể tham khảo các mẫu kết hợp màu của mình để hoàn thành bức tranh này nha. Video của mình đến đây là kết thúc rồi mọi người nhé. Cảm ơn tất cả mọi người đã quan tâm và theo dõi. Mọi người nhấn like và subscribe cho YouTube mình nha. Xin chào, gặp lại.